Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in central Minnesota, and I just realized that my lights are not on. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. Less shadows. Less horrific shadows under my... Yeah, I wouldn't want you to see my shadows. These are my shadows. You can't have them. You can't have them. Whew. Oh my goodness. How's it going, guys? I'm happy to be here with you, alive and well. Although I'm not super looking forward to the subject matter tonight. I don't know how to I don't really know how to get into it other than to just say it's going to be a rough one. Steel yourselves, bring liquor. That was the recommendation. That was the recommendation by me to you, and it was truthful. We're going to look into the sentencing of Hawkins in United States versus Hawkins. This case is brought to light by Senator Josh Hawley in the Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. She's not Jackson Brown. She's a Brown Jackson. Jackson Brown, of course, is a Whoite folk rock singer. Don't know if you guys know who he is. I do very, very well. Listened to a lot of Jackson Brown in the car when I was a kid. So that being said, we've got some stuff to dig into with this. And what we're going to do is go we're going to go through, I guess, the rationale from the government, the rationale for everything in regards to this sentencing. So if you don't know, gosh, I'm trying to figure out where to begin. So Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is nominated for the Supreme Court of the United States, right? And she has just undergone 2 days of questions from senators. The Senate confirmation hearing is going on. So there was an opening statement day on Monday. Then Tuesday and today, she went through rounds of questioning, similar to how Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, stuff like that. You know, same sort of idea there. Gorsuch, we've seen these in recent years, and she was put through the same sort of questions. Now, she is being nominated at this point in time because Breyer is retiring at the end of the term. And so they want her to be, or the next nominee to be, hitting the pavement running when Breyer is out. They don't want a gap. They don't want a 4-4 gap. They especially don't want a 4-4 gap when one of the liberals is gone. Because the only hope they have is that Roberts and another conservative justice flip as is. But they've kind of got Roberts on the liberal side in general. So then what they need to do is flip a conservative on any of these issues. And that's the only way they get a quote unquote liberal victory, because some people look at the court in matters of liberal versus conservative. And sometimes it's appropriate. It's not always appropriate, but sometimes it really is. So with that, they really don't want another liberal on the court gone, because then that just puts them at 3 rather than 4. I count Roberts as a liberal because he is. So if they get down to 3, it'll be 5-3 on everything. And that'll be a disaster for them, wherever they want to go. And 4-4 tends to equal, tends to basically just kick it back to the lower court. So that doesn't get them anywhere either. And they're non-binding. Anyway, ignoring all that, they want her to hit the ground running. So she's having her Senate confirmation hearings now. What'll be interesting, and I haven't seen anybody else talk about this, but if they confirm her, does she technically sit on the bench prior to Breyer leaving, which would put 10 justices on the bench? Probably not, but it would be an interesting sort of way to test the waters on having extra justices hit the bench. But that being said, that no one's talking about that. Probably not a concern or an issue, just a passing muse by me. So, in these confirmation hearings, the senators get to ask her questions. Those questions are about her, typically about, well, they can be really about anything, but the idea is to get a sense of her judicial understanding, her judicial perspective, how she rules on cases, how she may handle particular issues that come up as a judge. And there have been some fireworks in this thing. These are long days, like 10 hours each. And they can be very dry at times, but there are some fireworks, and we covered some of them earlier today. Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz going into her record on sentencing for people who are convicted. Remember, they have been tried and convicted of possession of child pornography, often horrific child pornography. And as it turns out, in all of the cases that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson had, all of them, she gave either the mandatory minimum sentence where she had no discretion, or a significantly reduced sentence from the federal sentencing guidelines, and also significantly reduced from the government recommendation, which was often reduced from the sentencing guidelines already. So if you didn't follow that, because I want to make sure we're clear here, she is sentencing people who are guilty of possession, distribution, collection, whatever, of child pornography. And she is saying that in every case that came before her, in only all of them, she says a significantly reduced sentence was appropriate. Ted Cruz did the math. It was an average reduction of 47% of time from the government recommendation, which is crazy. Crazy. So with that, I have to also put in 2 caveats. 2 of the sentences that are factored into Ted Cruz's calculation, 2 of the 10, I think, they were a significant departure downward from the government recommendation and from the guideline recommendations, but they were also mandatory minimum sentences. Those are the 17% reduction and the 14% reduction. So had she not been required to give 5-year sentences in those 2 cases, it is highly possible, not only possible, but based on how she has spoken about child pornography and stuff like that, it seems extremely likely that she would have given a reduced sentence. So that 47% average would probably be even higher if it were not for mandatory minimum sentences in 3 of the sentencing cases. The one I mentioned before, and then the 2 others, which were departures from the guidelines. So, it is horrifying. But the one that's gotten kind of the most attention so far is the sentencing of, what's his name? Wesley Hawkins in 2013. Wesley Hawkins was accused of possession of a sizable collection of child pornography, including many, many images and 17 videos. Not only possession of these videos and pictures, but also distribution of them. They were first alerted because this person uploaded 5 child pornography videos. And when I say, you'll see, but when I say child pornography videos, I do not mean some 1910 artistic picture of a nude child or some like children of war weirdo thing. And believe me, those are still weird. But these are not like an image of a nude child in like taking a bath or, caught with their pants down at a beach or something weird like that. This is pornographic, graphic video. What's going on? Hold on. I've got a little one. Yeah. If you're quick, and then you go to bed. You're going to have to take the blanket out of there before you close the door. Good night, lady. So, in laying all this out there, I want to impress upon people that there are degrees of disgusting that are associated with this thing, and there are arguments to be made about some of this stuff being not necessarily pornographic, right? And so the question in child pornography is always exploitation of the child, and then is there some sort of value that's going on? Because what you don't want is like a parent takes everybody like who grew up in the 80s probably has the parent took a picture of them in the bathtub and they might be mildly exposed in some way where they're like a little toddler or something. That's different. It's very, very different from what we're talking about here. So, that's what we're looking at. And we're going to look at this sentence. So the guideline sentence in this case was somewhere around 10 years in prison with a maximum of 20 years in prison. With a maximum of 20 years in prison. Okay. That's the guideline. The government recommendation is allegedly 24 months. So we're going to take a look at the government recommendation. And Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson sentenced Wesley Hawkins to 3 months in prison. 3 months. So you get to kind of make up your mind about what that means. But what we're going to look at, because she defended herself in this case, saying this is a particular situation and that she has to approach all of these things with considering all of the circumstances and really hammer out the appropriate sentence, that the guidelines are just guidelines, and Congress actually passed the guidelines as mandatory, but the Supreme Court said you can't do mandatory guidelines. And so the Supreme Court gave the judges discretion. And so then she has discretion. So she then says that she has to consider all these factors. Now, she's very dumb or very smart, one of the two. And all of the factors she's supposed to consider were written by Congress to be applied within the guidelines. So the guidelines offer a range. For example, 97 months to 121 months. That would be a range. That would be a guideline sentence. And so if you find some mild mitigations, this person is young, they were naive, they're very apologetic or whatever, Congress intended that you would find on the lower end of the guideline. And then if you found something to be a little bit more like questionable, maybe a repeat offender or whatever, that you would find on the higher end of the guideline. That's how this was supposed to work. But see, when the Supreme Court ruled that the guidelines could not be mandatory because it interfered too much with judicial discretion, then suddenly those guidelines are out the window. But the judges are still then they're now using the justifications for within the guidelines to depart outside of the guidelines, according to Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. So what the reason I explain this is because her argument and her justification for her sentence in this case specifically was that this wasn't that egregious. It wasn't that heinous. It wasn't so awful. And this person deserved a lot of leniency because of all of the factors that were considered. Now, what we're going to do is read all of the factors that are presented to the court by the government and by the defendant. That's what we're going to do. By the government, by the defendant, we will read the factors she considered, and we'll make a determination on if this was just, innocent or if it was particularly egregious. And I think when you find some of the justifications presented, you might just want to neck someone. But we're going to do one thing before that. Because I just saw this. So there's an ongoing sort of controversy. There's an ongoing sort of controversy with an online. Beta! What the hell just happened? Let me try that again. There's an ongoing controversy with an online. Beta! Beta! Named Just Some Guy. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to say on. Beta! God damn it. Damn it, Jesse. I'm just trying to describe this person. I'm just trying to. Why would you do this every time? Look, I'm just. Beta! Jesse! Okay, well, I can't describe them to you because Jesse Lee Peterson won't let me. But this is about Just Some Guy. Just Some Guy. We've had a little bit of discussion about Just Some Guy in the past couple days. Here, I had a little bit of an online argument with him on Twitter because I think that he's not presenting the situation on the Florida bill about education, right? This one talking about sexual education for children in the age of K through 3 or grades of K through 3. I don't think he's presenting this bill accurately. I mean, as an on beta. Okay, stop it. I tried to get around him, but I couldn't. Okay, so this is now getting even more ridiculous. We have reached new levels of stupidity coming from Just Some Guy. All right. Now, reminder, Just Some Guy is taking umbrage with the categorization of this as grooming. And so this is the new thing. Can I make this? I hate this side thing. What a waste. Look at all this white space. All right, so YouTuber Just Some Guy claims Americans accepted institutional child sexual grooming when they began accepting Christ as their Lord and Savior. So that is That is his new thing. Now, this is from Bounding into Comics, and you might be thinking, oh, it's Bounding into Comics. They're sometimes sensational. They're right wing or whatever. I mean, if you think that, I don't know. But they're some people might describe them as like a tabloid sort of thing. I don't. I think they're fine. I like the guys over at Bounding into Comics. Okay. I I like them, but I've seen some criticisms of them, and so I wanted to point out there that there are criticisms. But so you might be thinking this is sensationalized, but let's take a look. Let's take a look at what he's got here. So, uh, YouTuber Just Some Guy recently responded to a question asking when it became normal to accept institutionalized child sexual grooming. So this came from noted doxer and dog flashbanger Ian Miles Chungus. He says, when did it become normal for so many Americans to accept institutionalized child sexual grooming? Just Some Guy says, when they began accepting Christ as their Lord and Savior. Just Some Guy has several bones to pick, many chips on his shoulder. You find this out very quickly when we get to certain issues. If you don't know Just Some Guy, he is a YouTuber who is renowned for, I guess, the Tolkien commentary, like Lord of the Rings lore. Why has no one made a channel called Lord of the Rings? LORE' of the Rings. Like, that seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, we're going to talk Tolkien all day, every day. This is Lord of the Rings. Welcome to our podcast. Like, has no one done that? Because that seems like that should have been done at this point. But anyway, people say, I don't know as far as Just Some Guy. Like, I don't watch his commentary unless he's talking about me. But I don't know, but people say he's really good on Lord of the Rings lore and stuff like that. So I'll accept it. I've no idea. But as you observe a couple of his videos, when we get and he's noted for being kind of anti-woke. He's anti-woke injection into fantasy and escapism. But that seems to be where his anti-wokeness ends, because like every take I've heard from this guy is in the pinnacle of woke. It's way up there. So again, I don't watch a ton of his content unless he's talking about me. And so maybe I'm sure I missed a whole bunch of really good takes on stuff. But outside of entertainment, he seems to be in the woke community almost exclusively. I don't know. I don't know. But that's just I don't know how else to say it. Everything I see from him, I'm like, well, this guy's a commie or this guy's woke, one of those two. But he's particularly been arguing with lots of people, his own fans, other YouTubers, and other people over this Florida bill, HB 1557. And I went through the bill in a video just recently, and then I did a longer discussion that involved legal mindset yesterday. No, Monday. Today's Wednesday. I didn't do a show yesterday. Monday, I did a show with legal mindset, and we had a longer form discussion about this bill because he's a Florida lawyer, and it was I thought it was kind of cool to go through it with him and to talk about all of this stuff. And then that discussion was derailed by a fatso named Vito, who I will admit I invited on the stream when he was asking in chat to come on to defend his position. So I had him come on to defend his position. I thought his defense of his position was rather anemic, which is the only thing about Vito that could be described in any way other than giant. So with that said, we have talked about this bill a couple times. We went through Just Some Guy's video on the bill. And my summation of it is that he just hasn't read it and he doesn't understand it. But he has, in his conversations, accused the right and Republicans of homophobia and bigotry, not in context of the bill. This is important to know. He's not saying Republicans, people on the right, opponents of the bill. He's not saying that they're homophobic and bigoted in relation to the bill. He says that as a matter of course, that they are blanket homophobic and bigoted. That's the anti-woke YouTubers' take, is that Republicans are all bigoted and homophobic. I just need to point that out there because this is who he is. It sounds like a woke take to me. I don't know. I don't know. But with that said, he has been very, very angry over this bill because I believe he is bi or claims to be bi. I believe that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm not, but I believe that is the case. I believe he identifies as bisexual. So he would be in the LGBTQ community, which of course would make him an effective and attractive anti-woke commentator, right? That would be how one way you could short circuit your way into prominence in this type of community. And you've seen this before, right? Like you see this, oh, that's a black conservative. I want to listen to them because this is against the narrative. So an anti-woke LGBTQ person, for example, Sophia Narwitz, right, is a trans person who is anti-woke, is anti-injection of like these issues into all of these things. So I'm not saying that people do it for this reason. I'm just saying that it is a shortcut to kind of the front of the line on a lot of issues. And you will see, I think the best example though is black conservatives who are open black conservatives get a lot of attention very quickly for bucking the narratives rather than being buck broken, right? Buck breaking, factual, look it up. Look it up. But yes, Blair White is another example of someone who's a transgender person, but is opposed to a lot of the narrative and indoctrination and injection. So that being said, this is where I think Just Some Guy may have found a niche in following. And what I will say about the content that I've seen of his, and look, I calls it like I sees it. It's well done. He writes good scripts. He executes the scripts well. It's something I can't do, by the way. I cannot write out a script for a show. I cannot script out a video and read the script in a good way. I can't. That's not how my process works. I'm not good at that. And I actually have a lot of respect for people who are able to do that. I do all of my stuff kind of on the fly. I refine and rewrite things in my head throughout the day. When I sit down to do the video, I go through and I try and do it basically in one take 99% of the time because that's how my brain works. But he writes good scripts. He puts together good videos. They're well edited. They sound good. And a lot of people like him. So I'm not trying to denigrate his product in any way or say that he doesn't deserve to have a following. He's people can like it, but I think he found a lot of fans and he's pissing off a lot of those fans because he is someone who by their identity would buck the narrative, but now they're going along with the narrative and they're just fine with it. So that's what I think, but everybody is free. People always mistake me for this. When I'm talking about someone or criticizing them, I am not asking people to stop engaging their content in any way. If you like anybody's content, go watch it. I want people I like, dislike, or whatever. I want everybody to succeed, and I'm pro speech. I want speech out there. I had a tweet earlier today about how it frustrates me that any pro-Russian voices are being censored from the internet, from their professional and from their institutions or whatever. Not because I think Russia is in the right, not because I agree with the invasion of Ukraine, but because I agree with people's ability opportunity, and right to discuss things on both sides of the matter. In the US, we really try and protect that, sort of. When the US goes to war, we allow the anti-war people to speak. We allow the anti-invasion people to speak. But importantly, we also allow the pro-invasion people to speak. And it's amazing to me that the pro-invasion people have been allowed to speak in the past when there's a justification. But guess that justification is never justifiable for the invaded country, right? Like, they're never like, oh yeah, you know what? They're right. They got us. They got us. We're pieces of shit. I mean, let the tanks roll in. There's always two sides to it, right? No matter how, who's right or wrong. And I'm not interested in right or wrong. I don't really care. I want voices out there. So I'm not saying, before I get accused of this bullshit, because somebody out there,
Beta,
sometime has leveled a false accusation about me in regards to racism or something like that. Some fucking bullshit. But so I'm being very clear here. I am not calling for anyone to stop consuming Just Some Guy's content. If you like it, go like it all you want. I think he's making critical errors based on not reading this bill and with some prejudices to boot. With that, let's finish talking about it. Okay. So he says, when they began accepting Christ as their Lord and Savior. That's so apparently, if you've accepted, actually not really, but any American, I guess we got to take this in context. Any American who accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior has accepted institutionalized child sexual grooming. Now, you know what this is about, right? Like, this goes back to one of the most publicized scandals of our time. And that is the child sexual abuse that was definitely happening in the Catholic Church. And I wonder, I just wonder if anybody has ever looked into how bad that case was. And really compared it. The problem is, there's not really, as far as I've seen, there's not really a comparative study showing the amount of child sexual abuse in the church versus everywhere else. But this is interesting. Let's see, what do we got here? Here we go. Let's take a peek at this, because I think this is a conception. Now, let me be very clear. Every instance of child sexual abuse that happened in a church should have been met with a bullet. Like, I don't have time for it. You're in a position of extreme trust, and you took advantage of that to harm children. Get out. Get out. Okay? Get out. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. At best, put them in a monastery away from anybody forever. At best. So I have no different standard for child abuse in the church or outside of the church. I'm not trying to minimize or mitigate it. But there's this perception that there's somehow a bigger problem in the church, and it's embodied in Just Some Guy's tweet, right? That somehow the acceptance of religion, the acceptance of Christianity specifically, is where people accepted how is it worded? Accepted institutionalized child sexual grooming. That's the claim. And there needs to be a lot more study on this, but I don't know that there's so much motivation. This is from 2010, Newsweek. And I've heard this in several other places. This is just the first easy access article I could find on the subject right now. Because again, I do things on the fly. This isn't scripted. I probably would be better if I had researched this ahead of time, but I was taking a nap and I was very tired. Priests commit no more abuse than other males. Catholic sex, the reason that's relevant is because priests in the Catholic Church are all males. There's no female priests. Some female clergy exist in other denominations, of course, but this is an appropriate comparison because it's males versus males, and that's where we go. So, it's no wonder that back in 2002, when the last Catholic sex abuse scandal was making headlines, 64% of those queried thought Catholic priests frequently abused children. Yet experts say there's simply no data to support the claim at all. No formal comparative study has ever broken down child sexual abuse by denomination, and only the Catholic Church has released detailed data about its own. But based on surveys and studies conducted by different denominations over the past 30 years, experts who study child abuse say they see little reason to conclude that sexual abuse is mostly a Catholic issue. We don't see the Catholic Church as a hotbed of this or a place that is a bigger problem than anyone else. Tell you without hesitation, we have seen cases in many religious settings. Let's see, where is it? So this is by denomination. Here we go. Experts disagree on the rate of sexual abuse among the general American male population, but Allen says a conservative estimate is 1 in 10. Margaret Leland Smith, a researcher at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, says her review of the numbers indicates closer to 1 in 5, but in either case, the rate of abuse by Catholic priests is not higher than these national estimates. The public also doesn't realize how profoundly prevalent child sexual abuse is. This is back in 2010. And remember, they were right. They were right. The public had no idea how prevalent child sexual abuse is until when? 2017, right? 2017. Something happened in 2016, and then in 2017, suddenly we started getting arrests, lots of arrests. Audio crackle. I don't know what to tell you. Is it fixed? I hope it's fixed. I don't have a way to monitor it. I'll reset the mic. 1 second. Oh, it's fixed now? It's good? Okay. I don't know. That might have been something else. That could have been with my upload or something. Who knows? Yeah. All right. So anyway, let's see. Even those numbers may be low. Research suggests that only a third of abuse cases are ever reported, making it the most underreported crime. However you slice it, it's a very common experience. Most child abusers have one thing in common, and it's not piety. It's pre-existing relationships with their victims. That includes priests and ministers and rabbis, of course, but also family members, friends, neighbors, teachers, coaches, scout leaders, youth group volunteers, and doctors. According to federal studies, 3/4 of abuse occurs at the hands of family members or others in the victim's circle of trust. Fundamental premise here, here, this one. Let's point this one out, by the way. Let's point that one out, because that one's a prevalent issue. Priests may also appear more likely to molest children because cases of abuse come to light in huge waves. One reason is delayed reporting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Church is historically bad at punishing. So anyway, I'm belaboring the point here. When you look and compare the rates of abuse in the church to everywhere else, you find out that it's basically the same, which is not good. That is not good. The church should be better. The church should be better than everywhere. Let's make that fucking clear. They should not just be better. They should be borderline perfect. And the cancer that is child abuse should be excised immediately by whatever means it can be accomplished. But by that being said, this notion is part of just some guy's prejudice. It is not his analytical side taking over. Just some guy hates the church and he hates the right wing because he says that the right is homophobic and that somehow he believes that this is institutionalized child sexual grooming, despite the fact that of course no American signed up for anything of the sort. Anything of the sort. But that's where we're at here. So then it goes through a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of history about the bill, stuff like that. Wow. Okay. And then as it turns out, there's some negative feedback. There's shocking negative feedback on just some guy's video where, like this person says, usually a huge fan of just some guy's content. But yeah, I'm with the comment section. Anyone who says the parental rights bill is somehow homophobic is either a pedo, an activist who is sorely out of touch with reality, or misled by said pedos and activists intentionally misrepresenting the bill. I'm assuming just some guy is in this category. So they say they're giving just some guy the benefit of the doubt. They said they've been misled by people who have an agenda. Long story short, the bill simply says teachers can't teach children under the age of 9 about sex of any kind, gay or straight. Parents should always be allowed to know what their kids are learning in school. Reason this is a good idea because children are insatiably curious by nature. It's how they learn. Case in point, I was babysitting once. I told the 4-year-old not to touch power outlet because it was dangerous. He immediately tried to touch the power outlet because he wanted to find out just how it was dangerous. Start teaching 5-year-olds about sex and transitioning. Most of them will probably come blah, 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 blah. Quarter Black Garrett says, was this the worst example you found? Seems like a mild rebuttal and explanation. That is extremely mild, by the way. Extremely mild. And then here we go. Accusing someone of being a pedo or activist for opposing an anti-gay bill is a mild rebuttal and explanation. I'll keep that in mind next time someone calls the right white supremacist. But they didn't accuse you of that. This just goes to my theory. I don't know how just some guy can be an expert on Tolkien lore when he clearly can't fucking read. Because that's the thing that I just keep coming back to with him, is that this dude does not seem to be able to actually read anything. Because this person says, I'm assuming that he's been misled. And by the way, he very clearly has been misled because he doesn't read the fucking bill. So that's that. And then this, of course, Cecil had this tweet, and then he responded. So Cecil said, why some people would see an anti-grooming bill as anti-gay is actually quite telling of what they think of gay people. And then just some guy says, why some people would see mentioning gay people to kids as grooming is actually quite telling of what they think of gay people. And it's not mentioning. That's the point. The bill is not about mentioning. The bill is about specifically instructing on sexual orientation. Always has been. Always has been. But yeah, and then that, of course, led to Cecil's big tweet, which absolutely annihilated just some guy from orbit. So I just wanted to provide an update on how far this dude is spiraling. He's spiraling down a prejudicial rabbit hole, and the rabbit does not seem to be enjoying it very well. But yeah, so now you've accepted institutionalized child sex grooming by accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, which, by the way, doesn't mean going to church. Lots of Christians have their personal relationship with Christ, and that's what they choose. But I guess that's the route you want to go. Doesn't seem like the wisest of opinions to me. But again, that's up for everybody else to decide. Since it's been a topic over the past couple days, and I saw the update, I wanted to provide the update that just it blew my mind. I was like, really? Like, this is where you dig your heels in? I mean, at least Jack Murphy tried to dig his toes in behind him. But I don't get why that should be a thing. But Okay. So with that, let me read a couple of the super chats. What's Cecil's tweet? Oh, I forget that not everybody has seen this stuff. Let me pull it up real quick. Mm-mm. Hold on. Gotta find it. Almost there. Here we go. I do want to point out that let's see. This tweet. Where's my shite? This tweet has been deleted by just some guy. And I know that because here is Cecil retweeting it. Here's the tweet that Cecil retweeted. And it said, maybe ask yourself why it's so infuriating to be told not to talk about sex with 5-year-olds. Sounds kind of reasonable to me, but what do I know? I'm just some guy you can leave around kids. Oh, he blocked Cecil? Oh, is that why it's there? Maybe he did. Maybe he blocked Cecil and that's why. I didn't think if he blocked Cecil that it would remove the tweet from me because I'm not blocked. Last I checked. Let me double check. No, I'm not blocked. So I wonder if I do. I don't have a link to that tweet, and he tweets a good deal. Let's see if we can find it real quick. Oh no, he didn't delete it. It's here. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. That's weird because it should still show people who aren't blocked, but here he says it. Here's the tweet. It of course got kind of, ratioed there. Okay. Anyway, yeah, he's been taking a lot of ratios lately, but that's them. No, it doesn't need to be incognito mode. I'm not blocked. I can see it. It's right here. This is what was retweeted by Cecil. It's just weird that since I'm not blocked, it would not show me this tweet from Cecil. But whatever. That's that. Okay. That's enough of just some guy. I just wanted to provide Godiva, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't want to see that. You think you would, but it'll also probably never happen. I'm pretty sure just some guy's not going to talk to me ever again. Which, c'est la vie. C'est la vie. The audio is really scratchy. I wonder. Hold on. Let's get rid of this stuff. I mean, I do not have. Close this. Close this, I guess. I did show Cecil's tweet. Anyway, so I don't want to sit and belabor just some guy for too long. I just wanted to provide an update about it. So what we're going to do now. Matthew Harder says he'll get over it and not be a passive aggressive bitch like Vito. Sure, Matthew. Sure. You should go watch just some guy's video about me if you think that's the case. If you think that's the case, go watch his video about me. What we're gonna do right now is hit the super chats that have come in, and then we'll hit this Ketanji Brown Jackson thing. Yeah.
Do you love black people?
Jesse, get off of my screen. Okay. Vance420 says, hey, Nick, love you and the other law tubers. You might have already addressed this, but what do you think the odds of the SCOTUS pick being rejected are? Next time you're in Houston, want to shake your hand. Well, I'll be in Houston at the end of July. What do I think the odds that Ketanji Brown Jackson is going to be rejected? Very low. Very low. Eric Winberg, feeling better? Yes. Did you see YouTube Daily Wire Harry's? Did you see YouTube Daily Wire Harry's? What the fuck is YouTube Daily Wire Harry's? I don't know what that means. Ron Toye III says, I'm sad you didn't stream last night, Nick. So Murphy and I did amazing things together. Monica joined in the fun too. I wish I could go to more details, but I can't afford for a larger super chat. Lawsuit, frowny face. Ash Ukihime says, hey, Nick, I've been going through a rut lately. I would like to ask you a question. What made you realize you were in love with your wife? The reason I ask is because I feel like I'm not capable of loving people that way. I want the way I want ever since I survived 2 DVTs. Is that domestic violence? What is love to you? Gosh, that's a long question, Ash, with a answer that I have no idea. Oh, Harry's removed their sponsorship of Daily Wire. Gotcha. Over one leftist complaint. Well, Harry's has done that before, I think. I think that is. But I didn't see their response to Harry's no. I haven't seen anything about it. But Ash, for a more complete answer, if you email me, I can maybe run it down a little bit better. But I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it was something very early on. She was different. She was different to me than everybody else. And the other thing I did was and I'll say this several times, if you're going for a long-term relationship, particularly a marriage, love is a choice that you make. It's not just a feeling. It's not, you choose to overlook all of the shit that pisses you off. Might piss you off, but you let it go. And you choose to engage the person again. And you got to know that as you grow, you will both change dramatically. There's no way you'll be the same person 5, 10, 15 years later that you were when you got married. And that's often a thing. Well, we're not the same people anymore. Well, no, you're not. Of course not. One, you're physically not the same because your body cycles in all sorts of new cells and the old ones die off. But 2, you're emotionally and mentally completely different people. It's a choice, man. And you got to choose it. And they do too. That's the tough part. That's the risk. So, but yeah, if you want a more complete and thought out answer, email me and maybe I'll answer you. Enter the QB says, hey, Nick, did you know that Amanda Miller, voice actress for Boruto Uzumaki, actually gave you a little shout out on Geeks and Gamers live streams? She said she respected you and enjoyed your Rittenhouse coverage. Nice job. Hey, I did. I saw that. That was cool. It was very, very cool to hear that. I believe she was Sailor Jupiter, right? As well. Okay. Ristercrap says, Nick, have you weighed your nose? I think it's the reason you're late. That thing must be heavy. It is heavy. No, I have not weighed it. It's hard to find a scale massive enough. No Guard says, has there been anything you learned about Coochie Black Justice has made your opinion of her any better? To be fair, I haven't learned much about her at all outside of these things. No. Lund Channel says, hey, Nick, can you toast for my dog, Iru, who just passed away today? He's with us for 12 years. Oh, you mentioned he was sick the other day. I remember. Also, my budgie, Haku, who died 3 months ago before he turned 5. Also, check your email. I've been trying to send you some art. Yes, I will do all of those things. Also, I'm going to suggest that once we get going in just a minute here in full steam into this topic, you may want your own liquor because this shit sucks. Okay, to Lund Channel, to your dog Iru and your budgie Haku, who must be another dog, I would think. To your two dogs, losing pets is losing companionship, and losing companions is painful and terrible, but it is an acceptable hurt for the wonderful joy that they can bring to our lives. Except with me and dogs, but for everybody else and dogs, it is why we tolerate the hurt, because of the fun memories in life that we get to build with these temporary companions. So may their memories carry on and the good feelings be what remains of a good relationship. Love you most 326. Will you look into the Redonda Vaught trial in Tennessee? She's a nurse who made a medication error and the patient died. She's been charged with reckless homicide and abuse of an incapacitated adult. It's setting a dangerous precedent. Maybe. Is the trial going on, or is it scheduled to come soon? Aureliana says it's simple. They want your kids and they are out to do the legal footwork to make sure they get away with it. If you're disgusted, that just means you're paying attention. S. Asp says a mapophile sympathizer at best, full-fledged mapophile at worst. I personally would not be surprised if she had her own collection of evidence to double-click her mouse on. Horrifying thought, by the way. Mario V, welcome to paralegal status. Ed says, I remember the first time just some guy showed up in my recommendeds. I'm always skeptical when this happens. Took a look at the titles of a lot of videos and just felt something was off and turned around. They're Mazius 1980. The only pushback I have, which is extremely mild, to be honest, is twofold. One, are there any other laws on the books that could be used more effectively? And two, new bills inevitably means a right goes away. Slippery slope, if you will. If you're talking about the Florida bill, no. There's not really a law that would make it particular, that would tell teachers that they are unable to talk about this subject with kids. There's not another law that could do that. And second, as for a right being taken away, in this case, and I've mentioned this in my other discussions about this, I do not believe that teachers have rights in the commission of their duty as a teacher, in the same way that a police officer or a tax collector or whatever, in the commissions of their duties, they're agents of the state. These are not free private actors. They are the state agents. And in that agency specifically, they do not have rights and freedoms. You do not have free speech acting as a teacher. You don't. You have free speech anytime you're not acting as a teacher, but when you're acting for the state, you have a list of things and your rights are abrogated. That is a trade-off that comes with the job. Again, same with a police officer, a tax collector, a CIA agent, an FBI agent, an army person. All of these people have same restrictions. They can't just come out and in their official capacity say what they want because they are agents of the state. So I would say the right is not going away. There's a perception that K through 12 teachers should have academic freedom. Bitch, you're not in academia. You're in public education. If you want academic freedom, go to college. If you want academic freedom, go. What the fuck is going on? My CPU isn't doing anything. I don't think it's me. I think it's got to be on StreamYard. Here, I'll pull up my performance. I have no idea what would be at all causing any of this stuff. Yeah, I'm not the weird thing is I'm not seeing the lag spikes and I normally do. Right? Like when I'm lagging out, I can usually tell because StreamYard puts a little icon up that shows there's a bad connection. So it might actually be StreamYard to YouTube, which wouldn't be between me and StreamYard and wouldn't show. I have no idea. They might be having problems on their back end. Okay, but anyway, the long story short is teachers do not have academic freedom in K through 12 education, nor should they. Nor should they. They also do not have free speech as teachers, nor should they. Because you also don't want a public school teacher coming in and saying, you know what, it'd be justified to murder the gays. That should also be a problem in public school. That should be an issue, right? Like that is not a state position that is acceptable. Now, if they leave the school and they want to have a free speech moment and say that, okay, go ahead. But as an agent of the state, you do not have those rights. You are told what to teach, what to say by parents whose right you are borrowing to educate their children. So no, fuck off with your academic freedom. You don't get it. You don't get it. You teach the curriculum of the system that you're in. And if you don't like that curriculum and you don't like the system, leave it. Please starve the system because the system is garbage. I'm not putting the government on a pedestal here. I think public school is close to child abuse. Okay. Toxicity. Says, I'm 29 and less than a year after back surgery. I'm back in 24/7 pain. As a night owl, just wanted to thank you for the streams. They take my mind off the pain sometimes. And sometimes take my mind off of ending any pain permanently. Toxicity, please don't. Look into some alternative therapies that may be out there. If conventional stuff isn't working, I know someone who had a condition that was horrifying pain all the time, chronic pain, and they did a bariatric oxygen treatment. It's experimental or whatever, and basically a high pressure, high density oxygen tank that they sit in for a while, and that actually helped dramatically. I'm not saying that that's the solution for you, but I'm saying that there are sometimes solutions out there that are much better than a permanent solution. Vox Eternus says, I don't know if you heard, but in 2019, Hawkins reoffended and or violated his probation, and Judge Jackson then ordered only 6 months more in prison. The 8 to 10 years he should have gotten would have stopped that. Send him to the wall. No, he didn't reoffend. That would be silly if he reoffended. Is that real? Let's see if I can find it. When was this? In 2019. Let me see if I can find that case as well. I don't see it. Is it in the same case? It is. There it is. I've got it. I've got it here. It's in the same case. Holy shit. I'll pull that up. Wow. Yep. Unfortunately, they don't have anything about that in the case. They just have an order about it. I wonder if he reoffended in state court. Okay. Just insane. See, Goody says priests who diddle kids should be forced to off themselves just so they're fully aware they're going to hell and will never be forgiven. Evelyn Zeigler says, funny how just some guy insulted Christians when he also said Tolkien and his books are his favorites. Tolkien was a devout Christian. His books are steep with Christian themes. Just some guy's a hypocrite. P.S. He said he read the bill 5 times. Vincent Teague says, as a practicing Catholic that went through the priest maps, they all belong on walls with the rest of them. I was more afraid of my scoutmaster growing up than my priest. In Fantasy I Die says, just some groomers should be treated like all other patients that the Church of Cartography handles. Maps belong on walls. End of story. No exceptions, no justifications. Also bring Steve Lato on to talk civil asset forfeiture. Shinobi Assault says, I find it funny that the left worked to stop counselors and psychiatrists from talking with kids about being gay or confused about how they feel, but they are pushing for unqualified teachers to talk about kids or to talk to kids about it. Thoughts? They don't want discussion. They want agenda and they want indoctrination. They just do. I don't know how else to say it. They see the public school system as a tool for societal change. And so then they will push for those changes to be implemented in the schools. It's why we see critical race theory coming down at the national levels. It's why we see LGBTQ plus stuff being implemented at the national and state and local levels, because some people are motivated on these topics and they want to institutionalize them in the school. That's just what they want to do. Atlas Shrug says, Rekieta Law free speech advocate, are you? Your mods restricted my original super chat. Had to remove Rekieta Law is a pronoun with a penis. So I changed penis to organ. It's not my mods doing that. That's YouTube. Atlas shrugged, by the way. That's YouTube that does that. We do not police the super chats in any way. YouTube does that, and it's an AI-based policing thing. So it actually tries to look into the context of what you're saying, as well as it keeps up with trends. So if you there are certain days where you can't mention certain people if they're trending, because the AI will think that is a pile on or something like that. But we don't. None of the mods or I care what you put in a super chat. That would be silly. Nick's Hex says, my favorite thing just some guy said today was that you are a rear end hole, as if he isn't one himself. It's part of his brand. It's the reason I started consuming both his and your content in the first place. Oh, when he called me an asshole. Yeah. But I call me an asshole. That's not super great. Colonel Crayon says, currently burning the midnight oil, writing an essay on whether the principles of English criminal law of causation is coherent, as whether those principles are undermined by the judiciary. Don't go to law school, kids. 200-watt studio. Hey, Nick, that was a great toast you did for his dogs. Thank you. Mine is 13, and I'll remember this. You're welcome. Marsupial Gamer says, hard bastard reviewed your debate with Vito tonight. Takeaway was keep calling it the anti-grooming bill. Fact they hate that means you're over the target. Check out IHateHarrys.com for Daily Wire's humorous response. Hey, hard bastard. That's a dude I have not talked to in a very long time. I hope he's doing well. Joe says, imagine thinking he's lagging. Stream has been hiccup free all night. Toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper. LV Esquire says, I sent you an email but never heard back. Did you get it? Yes, I did. I just haven't responded. Yesterday I was sick. Today I was like streaming and running all day. But I did get your email. Cars in Depth says, Texas AG sent a letter to Austin schools telling them their elementary school pride parade and other LGBT activism violates state law and sex ed. Superintendent is defiant. Let's demolish all the ed schools. Insane. Yes, in Austin, they had a gay pride parade for young elementary school students. Good job. Good job. Insanity. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Tanuki sent this chat after the other show ended, and I want to read this. This is on Odyssey. It says, "Hey Nick, I've been watching since the beginning of the Vic stuff. I'm 100% degen, so I only watch subbed anime. I didn't know who he was, but it was anime related, and it caught my interest. Have some love from Canada, and please yell, fuck Trudeau." There you go, Tanuki. I hope you see that. And then radicalized. Who is this? Radicalized Ryan sent a Libri comment, and then all out of bubblegum sent me the I Hate Harry's webpage. We'll maybe look at that after we do this sentencing shit. Okay. All right. It's about time here. So should we start with a government memorandum or the defendant memorandum? Let's start with the government. Review Roberts' defense of Judge Jackson, please. What, Justice Roberts? Where's that? What, where is that? You want to do defendant first? Usually the government speaks first, so we'll do governments. Oh, Viva and Robert Barnes? What? I have no idea. I don't see anything immediately, so I'd have to see a link. When Nick is sick, he doesn't use Kleenex, he uses towels. Hey, Warduck. First, ouch. Second, thank you for watching. Third, you're banned. And fourth, I don't use towels. They're scratchy. I use bed sheets. Okay? Fucker. All right, here we go. Here's the government's memorandum in aid of sentencing. I can't make him a mod. He's on Rumble. Rumble doesn't have mods. I can't do it. Okay, so here we go. Here's the government memorandum in aid of sentencing. So we're going to skip through some of this stuff. For the reasons set forth herein, the government recommends that the court sentence the defendant to a term of incarceration of 24 months to be followed by 96 months of supervised release with the conditions recommended by the U.S. Office of Probation, including that the defendant undergo intensive sex offender treatment, computer and internet usage be limited and monitored, and the defendant's direct contact with minors be limited and supervised. The defendant is required by statute to register as a sex offender for a minimum of 15 years. Okay, so here's the government's recommendation. 24 months plus 8 years of probation, so 10 years total, and 15 years as a sex offender. And then he also has to undergo treatment and have limited usage. So here's the background, and here's where you may need the liquor. Okay. Between on or about December 25th and on or about June 10th of 2013, the next year, the defendant Wesley Hawkins possessed child pornography on his personal computer at his residence in Washington, D.C. On various dates during that time frame, the defendant downloaded and or received from one or more individuals over the internet images and videos depicting child pornography. On or about December 25th, the defendant uploaded 5 video files from his computer to an identified web address controlled by YouTube. The videos include, and some of this will be a rehash of stuff we read during the daytime stream if you were there, so my apologies. But if you weren't there, Steel yourselves. 2 prepubescent boys masturbating each other. 2 prepubescent boys without any clothes, with one boy using his penis to anally penetrate the other boy. 3 prepubescent boys engaged in sexual activity with each other, including oral and anal penetration. 3 prepubescent boys engaged in oral and anal sex with each other, and 2 prepubescent boys engaged in oral and anal sex with each other. Those are the 5 videos that this motherfucker uploaded to YouTube. And I point that out. Because Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has said that this is someone who didn't get into it in the same way. These weren't that egregious of evidence. They weren't really attracted to minors. Yes, she said that. And, this just wasn't so bad. And that some people, including this defendant, by the way, just rounding out a collection, not really, they're not like trying to victimize children, just kind of in it for the technology aspect of it. This guy uploaded hardcore pornography of children to YouTube for others to consume. That's what he did. Law enforcement learned about the upload through the cyber tip report from YouTube. February 4th, your affiant working in an undercover capacity sent an email to the defendant at one of the email addresses identified in the first cyber tip. And actually, we can skip the email section because we have the emails right here. And again, prepare yourself because we're going to go through all of the emails. So this is a back and forth between the undercover and the defendant. All right. We're going to. Did I hear that the FBI added the words in Minecraft to their dog whistle list? The FBI should be anally penetrated in Minecraft. There. All right. So the undercover says, I'm going to start just switching back and forth between them. So I don't say undercover says, defendant says, undercover says. You can follow along. Undercover says, can't remember where I found you, but I think we are into the same young little boy, etc. I'm redacted on Yahoo if you want to chat. Who is this? Hey, I'm redacted. Saw your email somewhere. I think on Image Share or YouTube. Thought we may have similar interests. If not, no worries. And then the immediate response this is the second thing he says to the undercover agent. I want to point this out. Do you have vids to share? This is someone who was intending immediately. This is 29 minutes after receiving the first email. They're on the fucking email. 29 minutes after that says, do you have vids to share? Can you give me more child porn? That's what they're asking. 29 fucking minutes. If any of you ever even answered an email within 29 minutes, I don't. Me, it's 29 days. In 29 minutes, this person has answered the email twice, is immediately ready to trade child porn. I am by. This from the undercover. Here, have a few shots of my daughter. 42 male perv by dad here in DC with experience in this area. You, what age is you into? By the way, I said this before and I'll say it again. Undercover cops who do this write the most depraved, horrific bullshit, and all of them are sus. I don't trust a single goddamn one of them. What they write down makes me want to die. But they do it. So there you go. So claiming to be a dad, exploiting his daughter. What, you have a daughter? Yes. How old are you? Location? What kind of vids you have? 18. And what kind do you have? This is all. They just met this person by anonymous email, and within 40 minutes is into this discussion. My daughter is 12. I have some of her when she was 10. I like 3 to 12. You? How old are you? He said earlier, 42. Do you have boys and girls? Do you have videos? And I like 11 to 17. I'm 42. My daughter is 12. And we've been playing around for a while. I have pics of her little tits and pussy. I have a vid I took a while back, but it's a very large file to upload. You have any to share? Send a pic of her, but she doesn't have to be naked. And yes, cool. Here's one of her, and any you can send would be great. At work, how long will you be online? So at first he says she doesn't have to be naked, but he still is asking for a picture of a 12-year-old. This will change. This will change. Oh, and by the way, if you're not familiar with these shows, when I cover how to catch and convict pedophiles, I say bring liquor and seal yourselves because this is fucking reality. And we're not censoring it. We're not sugarcoating it. This is a mild offender, according to a judge who is nominated to the Supreme fucking Court of the United States. A mild fucking offender, deserving 3 months in prison only. A mild fucking offender. We will not shy away from this motherfucking bullshit because that's what they want us to do. They want us to ignore this. They want us to say, oh, this is uncomfortable. We'll leave it to these fucking pedophile judges are out here excusing this shit on the daily. And they do it relying on the fact that it makes all of us want to die when we read it. So I warned you to bring liquor and seal yourselves because this will not be mitigated. And this is the mild case. This is what they want for your children. This is light. This is light. This is less time in jail than stealing from Walmart, than forging a check. 3 months in jail is less time than possession of marijuana or 1 hit of cocaine or meth. Okay. So back to the defendant. At work, how long will you be online? Till around 9 or 9:30. What time do you get home? Before that, what kind of video do you have and want? The youngest you got, really like under 12. You have any experience with young, any hookups? Youngest I have is 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Perfect. Smiley face. You have any young that you play with in real time? No. Do you? Yes, I'm fully active with my 12-year-old daughter, and I've played with my 11-year-old nephew. And then send a naked pic of her, please. So that took all of 1 hour to go from just meeting a person to asking for a naked picture of a 12-year-old that this person's allegedly molesting. Undercover says, I'll send one of her ass for right now to show I'm cool, but I need you to send something if you have it. Talk again soon. What time tonight? I am back. Cool, I'm here. Love to see what you have, what you want. Vid of the youngest would be great. You gay, bi, straight? Bi. So the defendant is bi. Send one of you playing with your daughter. Attachment, and he sent an attachment with child pornography. Right there. Right there. The only good news in this entire situation is that the 12-year-old daughter that he's talking about isn't real, doesn't exist. That's a fiction created by the FBI agent. So Undercover says, hot, buy here too. The vid I have won't upload because it's too big, but here's a shot of her pussy. Try to send the vid. Have you ever played or fucked any young, any access? And then Undercover follows up again a minute later. Trying, the hourglass keeps turning. It may be too large. It's long as hell. No, have not actually had child sex, they say. And please try if you have to send it as an online file. I transferred it from my iPhone to my computer. I still have it on my iPhone, but I'm sure it will be big to send. there as well, but I could try if you want. Redacted. Send it to my other email. What's your other email? Send me a test so I know how to get it. By the way, they're so fucking good at this. That like what they say is disgusting and soul crushing, but they're so fucking good at this. Look at this. He's confirming. He found a way to confirm another email address because this is, you know, they typically do this through anonymous email addresses. He found another one. Got it. Because this guy had like 5 or 6 different email addresses that they had IP addresses for. They want to confirm those. Brilliant how he did it. Oh, it's file's too big. Where can I send it? And this guy's so amped up to get that child porn as fast as possible. He's like, oh, here's my other email address. Did you get it? Yes, it still won't fully download. Oh, wait. The defendant sends the email address, Wesley Hawkins 2013, and then says, did you get it? And then the undercover. Yes, it still won't fully download on the attachment, though, for some reason. Should I try to send it by text to your phone? What are you trying to send? What kind of video? It's me and my daughter having sex. I filed it on my phone, but it's over an hour long, so it's not attaching. I'm not the best with computers. Maybe we can meet up one day and swap some CDs if you're close to DC. Send another naked pic of her. Okay, sent. Can you send another, please? Cannot really see that one. You have another? And then the undercover says, you have another. Would you ever be interested in meeting up to swap? And then he says, you want to pick? Sure, pic or vid would be great. And then the defendant send a vid of you and your nephew, and then sent another attachment that is child pornography. So he sent now 2 attachments that are pornographic to this undercover agent. Undercover says, I wish I had one of us, him and the nephew. And then send a pic of him. Here he is. Are you close to DC? You think we could swap vids sometime? Any more to send? You do not have a naked pic. So apparently the FBI agent did not send nude pictures. Then not of him, I don't. And then he says, send a naked picture of your daughter. And then the undercover says, hey, how you been? This is a while later, different date. Any new pics? Love under 12. And then above, message undelivered because email disabled. So from the time of this thing, which was February 4th to then May 29th, deleted the email. Okay. So that being said, we can skip what they'd said with the email because that's all attached to it. So on or about January 19th, 2013, defendant uploaded approximately 21 images depicting child pornography and or child erotica to a SkyDrive account. SkyDrive is a precursor to OneDrive. 21 images included with Microsoft, and Microsoft gave the tip. The 21 images include the following. By the way, everything you upload to any cloud service is scanned by the cloud service for the presence of illegal materials. I hope you know this. Like, if you don't know this, you should. But Microsoft and Amazon and Google, they don't want your child porn either. Only Twitter does because Jack Dorsey loves fucking kids. But and Facebook. But Microsoft, Google, Amazon, like these cloud services, they don't want your child porn on their servers. They may want them personally. I don't know them. But they don't want them on their servers because that will get them in trouble. So they scan everything you upload. Now, I'm not saying that to people who have child pornography. I'm saying that to people who have other illegal materials that you're uploading, potentially, whatever it may be. Know that all of these companies are scanning every single document you upload to them. And if you don't want that scanned, every document, every picture, if you don't want them to see that, like if you have nudes or whatever, some asshole's looking at your nudes. You may be okay with that. You may be okay with that, but you should know that that's happening. There's a review taking place. Usually it's an AI program that's detecting stuff, but if your dick is small or whatever, they're probably going to have it reviewed by someone else. So Vito, please don't upload any nudes. They don't, they might think you're a kid. Okay. The 21 images include the following: a prepubescent female child and a prepubescent male child standing next to each other without any clothes on, where the female is holding the male's penis. Male prepubescent child lying on his back with legs in the air with an erect penis, and a prepubescent male lying on his back with his eyes closed and his underwear pulled down to make his penis visible. On or about March 4th, defendant uploaded approximately 15 more images depicting child pornography and or child erotica to a SkyDrive account. Files include a video of two males engaging in prepubescent males engaging in sexual conduct, including what appears to be anal penetration of one male child by the other. March 25th, defendant uploaded approximately one file depicting child pornography to his email account. The file contains an image of two male children, one of whom appears to be prepubescent. The prepubescent child is laying on his stomach on a bed. The other is on his knees straddling, his penis appearing to penetrate the anus of the prepubescent child. June 10th, law enforcement executed a search warrant at the defendant's house in Northwest Washington, D.C. and seized a cellular telephone, an iPhone, and a Toshiba laptop with a hard drive. Preliminary forensic analysis of the laptop led to the identification of at least 17 videos and 16 images depicting child pornography. Videos and images include the following descriptions of prepubescent victims. God damn it. Andrew War Snowboard says this man doesn't deserve the wall. Drop him in a volcano. Blaine 20 says, when is Grum's stream? I haven't talked to him in a long time. I'll look for a topic. I miss that guy. And Shivan Lord says, hey, Nick, can I get a toast and a prayer? Sailor that works for my sister took her own life recently. Cheyenne will be missed, and Shay is doing his best to get everything together. Would it be okay to post a GoFundMe? You can try, but you aren't allowed to post links because you're not a mod. But if you want to post where the GoFundMe is, certainly do so. And I'll have if my mods could take a look at it and just share it out. As you hopefully understand, I cannot endorse a GoFundMe that I don't have personal knowledge of its authenticity, but I encourage people to check it out. And if you feel compelled to give or support it, go ahead and do that. But you're welcome to mention where people can find GoFundMe in the chat. All right. But yes, I'll get a quick toast and a prayer. From Shivan Lord to Cheyenne, an employee of Shivan Lord's sister took her own life, and a life taken by the owner of the life, a life taken in suicide, to me is one of the greatest tragedies, because it is a recognition. It is a recognition of a pain and suffering so great that the person believed that the only escape was death. And the saddest reality of suicide is that there are infinite people in that person's life who probably had no idea. And if they had any idea, would have told the person that there was hope, there was help, and there was support. And it is the severing of redemption that is the true heartbreak. So to Cheyenne, may she rest in peace from the pain that she was trying to escape. To Shay, may you have solace knowing that there was not really anything you could do. And to everyone out there considering ending it all and severing any hope of redemption, help, or support or love, know that all of those things are preferable to death. That death is not an answer. Death is not a solution. It is just destruction of potential. Cheers. All right. Okay. And I'll just briefly say on the nature of this subject. Look, guys, I've been in very, very dark and bad places. I've been at times where I don't know how to pay bills, don't know how to support a family, feeling like a piece of trash, your career's not going the way you wanted to, nothing's going the way you wanted to, life doesn't work, you don't have friends because they're all busy. You're going to find this in your 20s. Your friends get busy, your friends move away, you move away, whatever it is. There will be times your relationships aren't working out. Everything you're trying to do is fucking cancer and fails. But guess what? If you cut it off then, you exit at the dip. That is the worst place to exit. That is the worst place. And a peak is coming. And for me, as I've looked back and reflected on my life, every dip has been followed by a peak that superseded the previous peak. I'm always surprised. I'm always shocked. I'm always highly blessed by how things turn out, but it's a time game. It's a time game. And if you cut it off in the dip, you'll never know what heights you get to reach. Back to this horrifying fucking document. Okay, so here are the videos and images. 24 minutes and 6-second video depicting approximately 12-year-old male masturbating. Minute 57-second video depicting an approximately 8-year-old male masturbating. 11-minute 47-second depicting an approximately 11-year-old masturbating and being anally penetrated by an adult male. 15-minute 19-second video depicting two approximate 11-year-olds masturbating and performing sexual acts on each other. 7-minute 51-second video depicting an approximately 12-year-old masturbating before a web camera. Put this guy on a fucking cross and light the fire. This is a mild case deserving of only 3 months in prison. Shivan Lord says, thanks for helping this crusty chief help his sailor get through this tragedy. This is a mild case from Judge Ketanji Brown. This is what she thinks is mild. I think these people need to be put away literally forever. Forever. Because if we're to believe the narrative, if I take the fucking narrative that minor attracted persons are born with this attraction, if I accept that is true, then I can never justify release. Maybe not prison, but civil commitment for the rest of their lives. How can you? They're born that way, right? There's no choice involved here. Put them away forever. Execute them. Yeah, we perhaps possibly unfortunately do not execute people that often. Now, I say that my general position is this. I believe that the government has a right to the death penalty, but I have so little faith in the government properly executing anything that I'm not comfortable with them killing their citizens. Okay. Sentencing calculation. We're through the nasty. So the maximum sentence is 20 years. If any image involved in the offense involves a prepubescent minor or a minor who had not attained 12 years of age. So if you have one image involving someone who is 12 or younger, 20 years in prison is the maximum sentence. In addition, there's a mandatory special assessment for each felony conviction pursuant. Guidelines range. The government agrees with the calculation of the defendant's guideline sentencing range. The base offense level is 18. Government agrees with the PSR pre-sentence report that several specific offense characteristics apply. Material involved prepubescent minors or minors under the age of 12. That's a +2. Distribution, +2. Material portrayed sadistic or masochistic conduct. So we're talking about BDSM shit with kids. plus 4, involve the use of a computer plus 2, 600 or more images plus 5, and there are no additional adjustments. So we've gone from 18 to 20, 22, 26, 28, 33 is now the level. Defendant adjusted offense level is 33. Could have just read it instead of doing the math. Would have been better. Defendant is entitled to a 2-level reduction for acceptance of responsibility. So we're not 31 because he accepted responsibility. Government hereby moves to decrease the defendant's offense level by an additional level. So we're at 30 because he timely notified the authorities of an intention to enter a guilty plea and thus permitted the government and the court to preserve resources. So level 30. Government agrees with the PSR. Defendant has no prior criminal convictions and therefore has criminal history score of 0, criminal history category I, offense level of 30, and I. Defendant's guideline sentencing range is 97 to 121 months. Why the fuck are you recommending 24 months? Why are you recommending 24 months? Fuck you. Government recommendation. U.S. v. Booker, Supreme Court held that the mandatory application of United States sentencing guidelines violates the Sixth Amendment principles articulated in Blakely versus Washington. As a consequence, the court invalidated the statutory provision that made the guidelines mandatory. So again, Congress wanted the guideline sentence to be mandatory, but they can't. Post-Booker cases, Supreme Court has stated that a district court should begin all sentence proceedings by correctly calculating the guideline range. After giving both parties an opportunity to argue for an appropriate sentence, the district court should then consider all the applicable factors set forth in 18 U.S.C. 3553. These factors include the nature and circumstances of the offense and the history and characteristics of the defendant, the need for the sentence imposed to reflect the seriousness of the offense, to provide just punishment for the offense, to afford adequate deterrence, criminal conduct, and protect the public from further crimes of the defendant, and to provide the defendant with needed correctional treatment. These kinds of sentences available. The sentencing guidelines and related sentencing commission policy statements need to avoid unwarranted sentencing disparities and the need to provide restitution to any victims. February 27th, Sentencing Commission released a report concerning the guidelines for child pornography offenses. The CP report contained numerous observations that are relevant to a sentencing judge. Recognize that child pornography offenses inherently involve the sexual abuse and exploitation of children. Child pornography victims are specifically harmed by the distribution of their images over the internet. Many victims suffer lifelong harm at knowing that their images are being used by offenders for sexual gratification. I mean, when you're 40, 50, 60 years old, someone is still jerking off to you as a 12-year-old. The CP report emphasized the growing problem of online child pornography communities that facilitate and validate child exploitation. It also identified many problems with the non-production child pornography guidelines and included recommendations about how to change the guidelines to better account for offender behavior, including through the elimination of some specific offense characteristics and the revision and addition of other enhancements. Although the commission has asked Congress for permission to revise the child pornography guidelines, no changes have been made at this point. That's because, fuck you, commission. The people say this offense is worse than you do. CP report did not suggest that courts should ignore the guidelines, but instead provided a framework of factors to consider under the statute. These factors should be considered in conjunction with the, not instead of, the existing guidelines. Unless and until Congress signals its intent to permit changes, sentencing courts should determine a defendant's guidelines range based on the guidelines. Sentencing court should then consider the CP report as part of its analysis. So the government's recommendation of 24 months. Given the particular circumstances of this case, and especially the defendant's very young age, government submits a sentence of 24 months and 96 months of supervised release with specific conditions of supervision recommended by the United States Office of Probation is appropriate and warranted in this case based on the factors. Recommended sentence is sufficient, but not greater than necessary to accomplish the purposes of sentencing. I disagree. I disagree. Rob Price says, Nick, just wanted to say thank you. I've been dealing with a horrible injury the past 4 years. In the past 3 years, your live streams have helped me laugh even when I didn't think I could or was crying in pain. Hey, thanks, Rob. I hope you get better, buddy. I hope there's recovery for you in the future. Radioactive Llama Pajama says, Nick, don't do suicide. You'll never get to see the heights you could achieve. Also, Nick, let's keep reading. You gotta go through the trenches. You gotta go through the trenches. Bob Pivel says, Ketanji Brown Jackson, what would her alignment be in the Forgotten Realms? Lawful evil, neutral evil, or chaotic evil? Neutral evil. One of the worst. One of the worst. That's why I always pick it. Neutral evil. S. Asp says, just watch Barnes and Viva talk about the pedo clicker. Barnes absolutely never defended her and pointed out the judges on the left and increasingly on the right are giving lighter CP sentences and other abnormalities. I didn't think that Barnes would be defending this person in any way. It's comforting to hear that he didn't, but I never thought he did. Nature and circumstances of the offense. Possession of child pornography is extremely troubling, deserving of punishment. Defendant was involved in obtaining and trading child pornography from various sources over the course of multiple months. National Center on Missing and Exploited Children received 4 separate cyber tips about the defendant's online activity. When the defendant was contacted by email, he not only expressed an interest in trading child pornography, but also sent the undercover 2 separate files depicting it. Child pornography causes real and lasting harm. It's not just about images and videos. It's about children in those images and videos. It's about children who are best being treated as sexualized objects and worse, being horrifically, repeatedly sexually abused. Abuse of child pornography victims does not end when the physical contact or production is over. Abuse and harm go on as long as the images and videos are viewed, traded, collected, and used by offenders for gratification. Harm cannot be overstated. This is why why child pornography laws are the way they are. This is the important part. These people will be victimized forever. The other important part is that it creates a black market to victimize further children in the future. The victimization doesn't end. Blaine 20, if you don't realize that Vito's just trolling you at this point, it's because his comedy isn't funny. And he's trying to be edgy, but Vito's just trolling. I mean, that's the reality. He's just bad at it because he's not funny. Particularly in the internet age, victims of child pornography must attempt to cope with the knowledge the worst nightmares of their young lives are forever memorialized and available to pornography consumers. Individuals like the defendant who receive, seek, view, keep, distribute, and use child pornography for their own gratification are part of the illicit market for child pornography, which continually re-victimizes the children in already existing images and promotes the brutalization of even more children for new images. There you go. That's what I was talking about. Courts have long recognized the harms posed by child pornography offenders. As the Supreme Court recognized in the seminal case New York versus Ferber, use of children as subjects of pornographic materials is very harmful to both the children and society as a whole. It's been found that sexually exploited children are unable to develop healthy relationships in later life, have sexual dysfunctions, and have a tendency to become sexual abusers. Pornography poses an even greater threat to the child victim than does the abuse or prostitution. Because the child's actions are reduced to a recording, pornography may haunt them in future years, long after the original misdeeds, etc., etc. The crimes of passive child pornography recipient are not somehow attenuated as compared to a person who actually produces or distributes it. It's the same. It's the same. Victimization of the children involved does not end when the camera is put away. One of the victims whose image the defendant possessed submitted a victim impact statement. So one of the people he had a video of submitted a statement which has been provided to the court under seal. Victim impact statement describes how being a victim of child pornography has affected many areas of the victim's life, including their inability to trust adults and struggle with anger issues. History and characteristics of the defendant. Defendant has cooperated at all stages of the investigation case. Wall. The defendant agreed to be interviewed by law enforcement at the time of the search, admitting possessing child pornography and entering a pre-indictment guilty plea. Wall. Defendant took full responsibility for his actions and moved quickly to resolve the case. Wall. Government is not aware of any violation of the defendant's pretrial conditions of release. In addition, defendant has no criminal history and strong family support. Wall. 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 I don't know how to fucking say it.
You're up against the wall and I am the fucking wall.
Get on the fucking wall. Government's recommendation takes into account the defendant is extremely young, just 19 years of age. Yeah, think about if this would happen. If you murder someone. If you fucking murder someone who is just 19, though, no, that's not an excuse. What are we talking about? Just 19? And the defendant was only 18, was in high school during the offense conduct. Oh, wow. Then it's fine to look at pictures of kids fucking. Fuck you. Government has also considered the psychological report of Dr. Giunta. Hold on. Is this her? I bet this is her. Let's look at Dr. Giunta real quick. Carol T. Giunta. Throughout her training and professional life, she's had a strong interest in psychological assessment as her commitment to making psychological assessment results accessible and useful, which guides the philosophy of the practice. Forensic evaluations shed light on mental health issues as they relate to a broad range of legal questions. It's held on nearly 1,000 civil and criminal matters in state and federal courts and provides expert testimony frequently. Let's see. Graduate training included concentrations in assessment, neuropsychology, geriatrics, and forensic psychology. She trained in a broad range of settings, including a college counseling center, a state psychiatric hospital, medical teaching hospital, and outpatient clinic. This is why I'm guessing it's her. Licensed psychologist in Maryland, D.C., and West Virginia. This is a D.C. case. Female Dr. Giunta. Seems like a unique name. Maybe not. After completing her PhD, she worked as a staff psychologist at John Howard Pavilion, the maximum security inpatient forensic facility at St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Washington, D.C. In that setting, focused primarily on pre-release assessments and neuropsychological evaluations, as well as competency. She's working in private practice concurrently under the supervision of Dr. Christine Courtois. In that setting, she specialized in treatment of psychological trauma and post-abuse sequelae, including complex post-traumatic stress disorder and dissociative identity disorder. So this is who did that. I don't know anything about her at all, but that's shit. 1 second. Let's see if we can find this. Fuck, I can't write. I was hoping she had something on I was hoping she had a paper out there on this stuff, but I don't. What's this? This is pointless. Hold on. Oh, here we go. The psychologist, Dr. Carol Giunta, wrote that there is no indication that he is sexually interested in prepubescent children, according to excerpts from her report provided in the public court documents. Rather, his interest is in watching teens engage in homosexual activity was a way for him to explore his curiosity about homosexual activity and connect with his emotional peers. Oh, we're getting to that one next. Apparently, that'll be included in the next one. Are you fucking kidding me? Well, he's not watching kids fucking each other because he's a pedo. It's because he's gay. He's trying to identify with other. This bitch literally said he's gay and trying to identify with other gays by watching gay sex acts of children. She just maybe she's the most based of all. Maybe she is the most based of all. I don't know. I didn't think that's how it was. She's the one who says it. Okay, anyway. Assessment in that regard is supported by the evidence and circumstances of this case. The government does not agree with Dr. Guillen's report in its entirety and specifically takes issue with her formal risk assessment. However, her report provides useful insights for purposes of sentencing. Punishment, deterrence, protection, correction. Okay, whatever. Available sentences. Zone D of the guidelines. Thus, a probationary sentence would be a departure from the guidelines according to the PSR. Defendant does not have the ability to pay a fine in this case. Should impose a term of supervised release, and government recommends 96 months, 8 years. A lengthy term of supervised release is critical. Subject the defendant to ongoing monitoring. Avoid unwarranted sentencing disparity. Recognize it. So this is crazy. If they sentence a bunch of pedophiles lightly, they can't sentence the next one harshly. Oh, I'm tasting the I'm getting the trash taste. Ugh. The fuck? Getting the trash taste on Propel? Oh. Ignore everything I said about suicide. I'll see you guys later. Recognizing that the facts and circumstances of each case are unique, government submits the defendant's case shares many characteristics with cases in which an individual is convicted of possession of child pornography with no other charges or potential charges. Many such cases involve distribution via peer-to-peer file sharing programs. Woodgates pled guilty to one count of possession of child pornography and was sentenced to 12 months and 1 day, followed by 5 years of supervised release. After he was observed viewing child pornography at work, he admitted viewing the pornography for a number of years and was found to amass a collection of it, which he obtained in various ways, including through online groups and chat rooms. Between the time of the offensive conduct and the time of his sentencing, while he was on release, he entered treatment and made substantial rehabilitative progress. Sure he did. Here's a bunch of cases of child pornography where they were incarcerated for nothing. Sharp pled guilty to one count of and was sentenced to 78 months and 15 years of supervised release. A year and a day. This is the most depressing shit in this entire thing is these people are not sentenced at all. They're not sentenced at all. 5 years probation. 24 months, 15 years of supervised release, 5 years probation, downloaded child porn on a peer-to-peer file sharing program. Remember, the guideline sentence is 10 fucking years. None of these people are getting the time. None of them. 5 years probation, one count of child pornography, 47 months and 60 months of supervised release. 36 months, 120 months supervised release. There you go. There's the government. Fuck me. Okay. So that's the government's Put the district attorneys of Columbia on the fucking wall with him. Put them on the fucking wall with him. When you nail his hands to the cross, nail him through the district attorney's anus. If anyone ever did this to my kids, like legitimately, I've contemplated the worst things you can do to people for a long time. I would strap their elbow down like this to a table, right? Big fucking straps holding their arm in place. And I would smash their elbow with a sledgehammer. Just bam, right there. Smash it. And then I would do the other one. And then I would lift up their arms and I would take a razor blade and I would start slicing. Just slicing one at a time into the slice over and over with their floppy fucking forearm hanging down. I would sit there and slice into this nerve cluster in their underarm for hours. For hours. Then I would smash their heels. When I got tired of torturing their arms and fucking armpits, I would smash their heels because that seems like it would fucking hurt. Eventually, I'd pull their teeth out. I'd shove a bunch of borax in their mouth or something. I don't know. Fuck these people. 24 months. 24 fucking months. After smashing their elbows and heels, you'd put their meal across the room. Let them crawl. Let them try. This is the worst. These are the worst people in the world. Would I nibble? No, I'd make them eat themselves. That'd be the trick, right? Their mangled fucking bone meal riddled elbow remnants. Serve those up, fried up nice in a pan. You'd be like, oh, that meat smells good. What is it? Well, it's your food. I figured I'd be nice to you. Go eat it. They'd bite into it and get those crunches of the bone meal left. Like, you left the bones in. That's your elbow, buddy. Fuck you. Fuck you. There's nothing. These are the worst. They're the worst people on the planet. All right, we got a couple super chats. Sorry, I get a little feisty on this topic. Do you like in the movie Law Abiding Citizen? Not painful enough. Aho says, hi, have you heard of Quantum TV and his bad take on his interpretation of copyright law and his shitty Elden Ring review? Never heard of Quantum TV, no. David Swander says, Ketanji Brown Jackson, quote, I don't know how to define a woman. I'm not a biologist. End quote. Well, I don't know if you're a cat or a dog. I'm not a veterinarian. I don't know if you're a veterinarian or a veteran. I'm not a dictionary. Imagine not being able to define man or woman in the present day. Imagine, unironically, not being able to just define. Yeah, a woman has 2 X chromosomes. Look at if you're woke or liberal or whatever you say, you simply say, look, the way we've historically categorized male and female, man and woman as XY chromosomes for men, XX chromosomes for women. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't honor and respect people's choices as to how they identify themselves. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't respect people's right to define who they are and to politely request society to agree with them. And we shouldn't denigrate or degrade them for that choice. Simple fucking answers. It's so goddamn easy. Because it's just reality mixed with some mitigation and acceptance. Who cares? Look, I don't care if you come up, you have a 24-inch dick hanging down between, and you're like, I'm a woman. I'm like, cool, bro. All yours. I don't care what you do. Get it in that women's locker room, I guess. Leah Thomas. I don't fucking care what people call themselves, or they say, hey, by the way, can you call me a girl? I if you want, I don't care. Whatever. If that feeds your delusion, doesn't bother me. I don't get it. Why is this so hard for these people? Anyway, I gotta fucking move on. D. Dotson 45 says, plot twist. Senator yields his time. The Honorable Chris Hansen. Your Honor, have a seat. Would you like some lemonade? I have the undercover cops chat logs right here. Fuck this judge. Fuck this judge. Okay, so this is Wesley Hawkins memorandum in aid of sentencing. Liquor's hitting me hard. I haven't eaten much today. Thanks, the ghost. What do I call you, Mandy? You're not a woman. You're on the internet. I've never seen shit to prove that you're a woman. And please do not send me anything, because you could just be downloading those pictures. Someday I'll be at an event and you can walk up and say, hi, I'm Mandy Karavichis. And then I'll maybe entertain the possibility that that person is not lying and is actually you and is indeed female. Until then, fuck off. You're actually a dude and you know it. It's not your fault. There are no women on the internet. You're a guy. Your name is probably like Randy or Eric or something. Okay. But I love you anyway. You're good. You're cool. I love that you're around. Sheila Alien says, Nick, I go on camera now on Comicsgate streams. Cool. Cool. I haven't seen your normal camera, Sheila, but guys, Sheila's a pretty lady. From what whatever doxing pictures, doxed. Mandy Karavichis says, joke's on you. I got a sex change. My new name is Man Karavichis. There you go. Okay, here we go. Mr. Wesley Hawkins memorandum in aid of sentencing. All right. So, what do they recommend? 1 day in prison, home detention with electronic monitoring, and 5 years of supervised release. Kalea says, I said I was a girl. I said you were a girl on Flashcast. Well, look, I might have been lying. There are no women on the internet. Doesn't imagine. It doesn't actually exist. Okay, so 1 day in prison. This is the defense, right? Well, you can give him 1 day. Home detection with electronic monitoring, 5 years of supervised release. Why would you give him 1 day in prison? Just say no. Just say no. This sentence reflects the nature and circumstances of his offense and his history and characteristics. 3 factors. All right. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for the fucking factors that they chose? Because this, if you want to look at where the judge is, she's more in line with this recommendation than with the 24 months, right? 3 months is closer to 1 day than it is to 24 months by a long, long shot. 1, Mr. Hawkins, very young age at the time, became involved in the offense conduct. Very passive. Utter lack of dangerousness. I disagree. I do not think this guy is not dangerous at all. I think he's very fucking dangerous. And number 3, Mr. Hawkins' therapeutic needs would clearly be best met in the community. Now, listen to what happens here. His therapeutic needs would be best met in the community. And look at the reason why. particularly given that as a sex offender, he is not eligible for a prison camp. A prison camp is a minimum security prison adjacent facility that is still a lockdown, but it's a barracks. You're with other people. But look at this, footnote 1. As a, quote, sex offender, he would not be eligible for placement in a Bureau of Prisons prison camp. That is because one's status as a sex offender is a public safety factor that automatically bars placement in a prison camp. This motherfucker is too dangerous to be in a fucking prison camp. Well, so he should just be released to the community then. Hillary Clinton me immediately. The argument is that this guy is presumptively too dangerous for a prison camp, so put him out into the general population. As the pre-sentence report and Dr. Carol Gunther's psychological assessment make very clear, he's a fundamentally good kid who has insecurity issues regarding his weight. He's a fat motherfucker. And social acceptance that are not entirely atypical for someone his age. Here you go. Here you go. Are you ready for this? Mr. Hawkins, this is the just some guy defense, and I'm not even fucking kidding. Mr. Hawkins also appears to have a sexual identity issue that is complicated by his mother's strict religious beliefs. There you go. There you go. Well, he's bi, y'all, and his mother is a strict religious believer. Therefore, these factors, when combined with the intense hormonal mix of being a teenager, are what caused the offense conduct in this case. It was not an intrinsic sexual attraction to children significantly younger than himself. He's not a pedophile. He's just fucking gay. And his mom is Christian. Therefore, downloads pictures of boys or videos of boys fucking each other in the ass under the age of 12. To the gays out there, do you fucking accept this? Do you accept this? Look, you're gay and your parents are religious. Therefore, you download images of kids fucking? Are you kidding me? Not a single gay person I know. Not a single gay person I know would condone this shit. This is fucking insane. It's insanity. Anani says it's worse in LA. Soros-backed District Attorney Gascon issued a directive for no prosecution of juveniles that commit sexual battery. If a juvenile pulls a knife on you, threatens to kill you, commits sexual battery on your wife and kids, and is arrested, no prosecution. District Attorney Gascon can get fucking castrated and then executed. Fuck all these people. All right. Okay. So here's the overview. 19 years old, was only 18 at the time. Raised by a single mother. No one is shocked by this. Erlene Hawkins Grassi, for whom Mr. Hawkins is her pride and joy. They share an exceptionally close relationship, born of love and 19 years of dependence on one another. As reflected in the pre-sentencing report, Mr. Hawkins has barely met his biological father, though he has enjoyed a good relationship with his stepfather since he joined the family about 5 years ago. Hawkins' family has very modest means, living together in a small 2-bedroom apartment. Hawkins' upbringing was a religious one due to his mother's devout beliefs. As noted in Dr. Giunta's report, Mr. Grassi is very religious. Ms. Grassi is very religious and strongly frowns on homosexuality. Throughout his life, he's excelled in school and has earned praise from numerous quarters. Those letters indicated that the defendant is a hardworking student who wants nothing more than to be successful. Hardworking, outgoing, tenacious, and determined, compassionate about his academics, has the ability to lead others in a positive way. Another letter indicated, I have watched him grow into an outstanding young man, youth leader. Wesley is of strong moral character and continues to take a lead in implementing youth-driven activities for the Ward 1 Drug-Free Community Coalition. He was described as articulate, dependable, and self-motivated. He graduated from Booker T. Washington Public School on June 7th, just prior to his arrest in this case. What was his GPA? What was his GPA? They're talking about how great he was. Although Mr. Hawkins received $4,000 in scholarship money for outstanding academic achievement, high moral character, leadership, and participating in extracurricular activities, and was to use that money to attend Shaw University in Raleigh, that opportunity was lost because of his arrest in this case. It's among the first of countless damaging consequences that will be inflicted on him throughout his life because of this case and his status as a sex offender. Judge, it's not fair. He lost his $4,000 race-baited scholarship because he was just looking at kids fucking each other. How fair is this, Judge? How could this be fair in a rational world? In late 2012, while sitting at home with the simple click of a mouse, 18-year-old Wesley Hawkins downloaded a video of child pornography from YouTube and irreparably damaged the rest of his life. Actually, though, he uploaded child pornogaphy to YouTube and everywhere else and asked for it from an FBI agent. Stop fucking mitigating this. What just happened to? He just went on YouTube. He just accidentally downloaded child pornography. Have you ever tried to download a YouTube video, by the way? Have you tried? You have to take the address. You have to open VLC. You have to input it as a network source. You then have to open it in VLC. You then have to go to the codec information. You have to take that codec information. You have to open that in a new tab. You have to wait for it to load. You have to save the video as, and then download something. It's not a simple process to download a YouTube video. Importantly, Mr. Hawkins' initial reaction to the image was confusion and shock rather than arousal, according to the Giunta report. This fucking bitch believed that? YouTube downloaders that's commie propaganda. No, thank you. Mr. Hawkins, quote, wanted to know why kids were doing those kind of things. Why are 11-year-olds anally penetrating each other? I want to know more. Click, 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 click. Plugins do all that work now. This is 2012, guys. This is 2012. It's a decade ago. Talking about plugins and all this shit. Mr. Hawkins wanted to know why kids are doing those kind of things. It was also notable that to Mr. Hawkins that the YouTube subscriber who sent him the child porn had a lot of subscribers, i.e. that he seemed popular. Based on a cyber tip that resulted from Mr. Hawkins' subsequent reposting of the images on YouTube, Detective Timothy Palchak initiated contacts with him on February 4th through email. Although one possible course of action in this situation would be for Detective Palchak to announce his status as law enforcement and issue a stern warning to cease and desist this conduct, which at this point had not gone beyond downloading and reposting publicly available videos from YouTube of kids fucking. Detective Palchuk instead posed as a collector of child pornography and someone who molests his 12-year-old daughter. Importantly, Mr. Hawkins indicated no interest whatsoever in his repeated suggestions for real-time sexual activity, i.e. a real-life sexual encounter with his fictitious 12-year-old daughter. Oh, okay. To the contrary, he completely ignored his persistent entreaties. He asked for nude pictures in an hour. In an hour! To a complete stranger online. He's like, please send me nude pictures of your kid. Fuck this person. Put him on the wall. Over the next several months, Mr. Hawkins periodically viewed more images of child pornography using SkyDrive, peer-to-peer file sharing program. Notably, it was never an obsession for Mr. Hawkins, and he did not amass a large collection, even though that is apparently very easy to do so these days. Importantly, Mr. Hawkins' connection to the images he viewed appears to be one of identifying with his age mates emotionally instead of exploiting them sexually. He's just identifying with his age mates. Mr. Hawkins said he found the fellow teenagers in the photos easier to connect with than adults. Oh, okay. Okay. Quote, I'm really insecure about myself. I saw them experimenting, which I'd like to do, but I don't know how to. They were experimenting with children, and he said he'd like to do that, but he didn't know how. And they thought this was good. When asked about the fact that he was most interested in other males, he emphasized that although he's interested in experimenting, his mother strongly disapproves of homosexual activity due to her religious beliefs. Okay. When agents arrived with the search warrant, Mr. Hawkins immediately admitted to having viewed child pornography on his computer. He did not try to minimize his conduct. Has had nothing to do with child pornography since that time. Has complied with all terms of pretrial supervision. His computer contained 16 digital images and 17 digital movie files containing child pornography. Notably, the images that he was drawn to were sexually more mature individuals between the ages of 12 and 18. That is what he told the undercover officer he was interested in, and that is what the images taken from his computer reflect. This case does not involve images of infants or toddlers. 8-year-olds. Videos of 8-year-olds, you fuck. As the vast majority of child pornography cases do, he did not pay for the images or trade other images for them. He literally tried to. He sent images to the FBI agent, you liar. There's only one instance of distribution that was in response to his repeated requests for images, except for when he uploaded them to YouTube. This isn't true. While devastating to Mr. Hawkins and his mother, this case has provided an important intervention. He has now made a total break from his past conduct in this area. He's complied with all the conditions of his pretrial release under the high-intensity supervision program. Everyone familiar with him believes that his behavior was out of character. He will never become involved in possessing child pornography again. Let's point out something here. So here we go. Here's the, this is the case, right? This is the case we're looking at, USA versus Hawkins. Notice all these dates in 2013. Right? 2019. Notice of attorney appearance, Nicholas George Miranda appearing for the USA. So suddenly we have, in 2019, weird, we have a new district attorney showing up. And on April 17th, a minute order concurring with the recommendation of the 30 probation petition, which is sealed as to Wesley Hawkins, hereby ordered that the following additional conditions of supervised release are imposed. He has to go to 6 months at a residential reentry center, must follow the rules and regulations of the center, computer monitoring, and search. And you have to tell anybody who's using your computer that they're subject to monitoring and search by the government. signed by Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. This means he reoffended. He reoffended 6 years later, 5.5 years later, technically. Why? Because everything stated in this is bullshit. This is a fucking kid diddler who wants to look at kids naked and having sex and doing the worst shit you can imagine. Because he's a fucking pedophile. And he fooled a dumb fucking psychologist. And he fooled a dumb fucking public defender. And he fooled, most importantly, a dumb fucking judge. Dr. Giunta assessed Mr. Hawkins' mental condition, specifically whether he poses any physical danger to children. He does. He's collecting and distributing child pornography. Whether he is likely to repeat the offense or engage in similar activities in the future, the existence of any underlying psychological factors which led him to commit the offense, any recommendations for appropriate treatment. Based on her evaluation, which include the use of risk assessment tools, pose a low risk of engaging in sexual violence. On her view, he does suffer from some symptoms of emerging mental illness. Those symptoms are unrelated to pedophilia or any kind of sexual interest in children. He would reoffend 6 years later because he's a fucking pedophile who is sexually attracted to children. You don't like, this is the most ludicrous thing. I wasn't actually attracted to kids. I'm just downloading pictures of kids fucking each other and adults fucking kids, but I'm not really interested in the kids though. What are you talking about? What is people believe this shit? Well, he's got child pornography, but he's not really interested in the he's not sexually attracted to children. Download regular porn. How about that? Why don't we try that one? How about you download a bullet into your mouth? These factors must be considered in light of his age and developmental level. Quote, Mr. Hawkins does not demonstrate sexual deviation. He does not evidence a relatively stable pattern of sexual arousal to inappropriate stimuli. Rather, his interest in watching teens engage in homosexual activity was a way for him to explore his curiosity, homosexual activity, and connecting with his emotional peers. He should not be viewed as a classic sex offender. Wonder how many times she said this, by the way. Pedo shields get fucking broken. Rather, the instant offense occurred when he was an 18-year-old young man with age-appropriate sexual curiosity, but a disconnect from his age mates due to his limited social and emotional development and emerging mental illness. Age-appropriate sexual curiosity involves 8-year-olds? Ryan, the editor, yeah, this guy reoffended. It should be noted that Mr. Hawkins does not meet the criteria for pedophilia. There's no indication that he's sexually interested in prepubescent children. Every fucking video is prepubescent children. Every video that he has. Kids getting ass fucked. It's prepubescent children. Only all of the videos. Also, late adolescents involved in sexual relationships with teens are excluded from this diagnosis. His risk for sexual violence is low. At the conclusion of her report, she recommends that a psychiatric consult is recommended to see if his issues would be responsive to pharmacological intervention. It does appear that Mr. Hawkins may be suffering from attention deficit hyperactivity. If you have ADHD, apparently you look at pictures of fucking kids. Or something similar for which beneficial medications might be prescribed. Notably, he stated that he is amenable to mental health treatment. He said he's amenable. There you go. Young age. He's only 18, y'all. Comparable sentences. Oh, God. I can't take it anymore. This is 34 pages of filings. These are all the comparable ones. Appellate cases. Okay. Other cases. And then they have some attached documents that make this even longer. 63 total pages. Just punishment. I'm done. Adequate deterrence. You didn't adequately deter him. He would re-offend. Here's the program statement. Bureau of Prison Inmates Classification System. I can't keep reading this. I'm done. In summary, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson exercised her discretion and issued a 3-month sentence when the recommended sentence was 10 years in prison. 10 years in prison, and she recommended 3 months. 6 years after the sentence, this person would reoffend and be sentenced to 6 months in a halfway house. Reoffend. And it's because a defense attorney, that's their job, and a psychiatrist, this is not their job, argued that a person with 17 videos of prepubescent children fucking was not attracted to children. Yes, people are properly pointing out that he was caught 6 years later, that he would reoffend because he was caught at the time. That's true. This is a Supreme Court nominee to replace Justice Breyer. In every single case that she has taken on, she's given either the mandatory minimum sentence. And those are the best case scenarios because in those cases, when there's a mandatory minimum, they get 5 years. In every other case, she has departed downward from the sentencing guidelines and the government recommendation. In every case involving child pornography, only all of them. She's written about how sex offender registries are unconstitutional. She's written about the stigmatization and punitive nature of child sex offender crimes specifically. To the senators of the United States, I implore you, do not appoint this travesty to the Supreme Court of the United States. You do a disservice, a discredit, and a dishonor to the honorable position of Supreme Court Justice by affirming routinely devastating, deviant, and disgusting sentencing practices that take the worst offenders in our entire country, that do the most ongoing and lasting damage to children that will haunt them until the day they die, and trivialize it into sentences that are less than for petty misdemeanor crimes. That is embarrassing, it's offensive, and it is unbecoming of a Supreme Court justice. Thank you. I hope the Republicans grow a fucking spine on this. I hope Republicans grow a fucking spine on this, but I don't think they will. Tank Commando says, first super chat ever. Behind on stream due to being late and gay. 2004 Department of Education study found 7% of high schoolers experience sexual abuse in school. I'm a boomer, so I'm not sure if it's appropriate to drop a link to the study. You can't, Tank Commando. Everyone, because of the Chinese porn spam bots, I had to disable link sharing for everybody but mods. Tank Commando also says, apparently people started accepting grooming of their children when they allowed the government to take guardianship of their kids 8 hours a day for 13 years. Thank you for what you do, Nick. Cheers and F the state. Thank you, buddy. Deadleg says, Nick, is there anything we can realistically do to prevent this insanity from being confirmed? Like, would contacting senators or whatever do anything? I'm avoiding politics forever, but this is disgusting. The only thing you can do is contact your senators or speak out publicly. That's it. That's it. I don't think the Republicans have the spine to prevent her from being appointed. I really don't. I think they'll confirm her. I think a couple principled Republicans will sit out, but I think they'll confirm her ultimately, which makes me really fucking sad. Okay, let's lighten it up a bit here. Can we do that? Can we do that? Can we have a little fun? I hate doing depressing streams. I really do. But sometimes they're necessary. Here we go. $794. Oh my God. All the way near the end. Near the end.
Unbreaded.
It is time for our daily unbreaded. It is time. This is the Gospel of Matthew Harris. A reading from the Gospel, page 794. As far as the PDF page goes, not the paper page, the PDF page. All right. Here we go. Should we do this? Them insulting us, degrading us, and robbing us to the point where they make fun of us and celebrate weakness and degeneracy. John Meyerstein jokes that his favorite rap song is a Binger masturbating. His favorite rap song is not Binger singing about fucking all the bitches. Now Binger rap about losing and displays of weakness. They do it as if it's clever and funny. The enemy. This is something the enemy does. And when I say the enemy, I mean the enemy completely. So as the enemy always teaches the enemy how to do it, the enemy also tries to teach us how to do it. Lose and bow. Stop welcoming the enemy into our art and our expressions of ourselves as if they are our friends. Stop sampling them. That is just promoting them, and that's just welcoming them. When you sample the enemy, when you hold the enemy up in any form, when you give the enemy's expression room inside your expression, you're inviting them. Stop doing that. Kill all of them and kill the enemy. Never let them in. Never let them into anything. Never let them live. Never let them up. Never let them survive. Never let them continue. Never coexist with the enemy. Never speak to them. Speak what is demanded by Matthew C. Harris. Speak it at all times. Speak the demands. Live the demands at all times. Be possessed by the demands. Possess the enemy through the demands of Matthew C. Harris. Never have a conversation because a conversation implies that you are listening. Never help the enemy. Never speak to them. Speak what is demanded by Matthew C. Harris at all times. Speak the demands at all times. Live the demands at all times. Be possessed by the demands. Possess the enemy through the demands. A conversation implies that you are listening. Never help the enemy. Every chance you get, kick the enemy off the cliff because they're already dangling. Leave the enemy to death. Forget the enemy before the enemy is dead. Remember only how to kill the enemy immediately, to kill the enemy until the enemy is dead. Never stop, never sleep, attack instantly and relentlessly attack till all of their men are dead. There are no laws but the laws in this book. There are no commandments but the commandments in this book. There are no commands but the commands in this book. There are no principles but the principles in this book. There are no standards but the standards in this book. There are no standards but the standards in this book. Bring them beneath death after they're dead. Continue to kill them after they are begging. Kill them further after they are in hiding. Kill the possibility of their return. Shoot. Execute. Make that the goal, not a display, not a trade. Make that the purpose. Make that the point. Make that it.
Unbreaded.
There you go, guys. That is the daily unbreaded. That is the daily unbreaded. Whew. Okay. It's late. We got super chats, and then I've got Twitch. Over on Rumble, Emorsk says, you're late. Then he says, you're, because he spelled it wrong, like a bitch. Then he says, get on the wall. It's really just that simple. Where Tiger Ray says, what are the statistics on teachers committing child abuse? You don't want to know the real ones. It'll make you even more depressed. And then JMS 1008 says, put these pedos' heads in a vice and close it. Malik Foxon says, the things some of them forget, though, complaining about being trans, being hard, is they signed up for this when they wanted to walk around playing pretend. Not everyone wants to play along. Best practice is to accept that and let them come around when they're ready, not scream until they submit. Look, I'm so fucking tired of this. Well, I came out as trans, therefore people need to accept me. Motherfucker, come out as a 40K player, a Magic the Gathering player, some other nerd, and get beat up. Get beat up. People never care what your identity is if they can make fun of you or beat you up for it. Fuck off. You don't get some special status just well, I'm trans, therefore. No, fuck off. Fuck off. You get beat up for liking Sailor Moon, get beat up for liking Sailor Moon. The only thing you don't get beat up for is playing EverQuest, because only Chads play EverQuest. Let's see. What do we got here? Who is this? Herman Armenius says, why do children love to play with thumbtacks? Because they're the best at pinning maps to the walls. And then we got Mandy Karavichus says, these nachos were so good, Nick. Crispy, warm tortilla chips, oozing with hot nacho cheese and some jalapenos. Every scoop and bite was total cheesy bliss. Such a satisfying crunch, bursting with heat and flavor. I like nachos. I wish I was eating nachos. Herman Armenia says, no, Nick, the best form of torture is playing Elden Ring until 7 in the morning because you're getting your man pussy shredded by an ant bull demon. Fuck off. I killed that thing and it deserved it. Salcor says, I'll ask the same sarcastic question I ask whenever I speak at the Senaf scandal protests. Without the state, who will protect the kids? The community will protect the kids, and it'll be way worse than the state. Okay, here we go. Gonna burn through these because I really have to take a piss. I don't know about you guys. Wolfgang says, Putin can go to hell. Don't mess with Japan. As for Biden, he better stop ruining America from being able to protect Japan via our defense agreement. JB Flotsam, you're not fooling anyone, Nick. We can see you've been on those nasal steroids for years. Rochelle Roberts, what the fuck, Nick? My first super chat, and I'll probably be in bed before you read it. Either way, thank you for your hard work. Oh, hell, please don't hold the Roberts thing against me. Hopes shed. Zach says, according to Jackson's logic, someone killing a bunch of people with a knife should receive a harsher sentence than doing it with a gun. Rochelle Roberts says, have a great experience from birth mom's side. Amazing. And damn those pedos, save all the babies now. I agree, Rochelle. Zach says, did you hear that Jackson also presided over the Comet ping pong attack case and gave him a light sentence as well? I heard, I've seen people in the chat saying it. I don't know anything about it. Channel 7111 says, got some links to the Hawkins case you can share. Receipts are always helpful to share with others online. I would love to, but they're all on Pacer. Pacer is the government public access to case records, or to electronic case records, case electronic records, whatever it is. And anybody can access them. They're all on Pacer, but you have to pay for it. And I can't just link to them on Pacer. I wish I could. It should be free. Pacer should be free in their lawsuits trying to make it free. But until they're free, I can't actually just link directly to the case documents. You have to create an account. You have to pay for them. And I don't know how to upload shit to a place to find it because I'm fucking stupid. Okay. So I know you can. I know I could download it and upload it. You don't have to tell me. I understand that it is possible to upload it to a thing and give people a link. I don't know how. I don't even know how to upload shit to Imgur. So someone else can do it, not me. Carson Depp says, just some guy is bi. That informs a lot of his views. CL Hunter says, I think just some guy is just ignorant, but Vito and Vaush are sus. Daniel says, to the wall with them all. Red Wall 1521 says, just some guy also had a horrible take a while back on his Punisher take. I think it was V Radio who rebutted against him. I have no idea what that is. Bad Dragonite says, Gollum rackets. I'm not going to do Gollum. These is my shadows. You can't has them. Think you been in the vault a bit too long. Oh, yes. Oh, my shadows. Yes, from not having the lights on. Brian Schultz says, anime profile pic is always sus. Potentially criminal. Talking with Vito should carry a Prop 65 warning. Exposure to this substance is known by the state of California to cause cancer. By the way, guys, much respect and props to potentially criminal. I had to cancel on him last minute yesterday because I was sick. My voice was in shambles and I was dying. And he was very gracious about rescheduling the show. We will reschedule it very, very soon. Maybe, as soon as I and he are both available, we will do that. And he's pretty available from what he's indicated. So it's about me just scheduling it, and I will be working on that tomorrow. Hopefully we'll see him very soon. So it was great of him to be very gracious in that. Darkside 007 says, Daily Wire launched a razor ad. It's glorious. The Ghost says, Robert did a video defending the CP sentences. And gee, who's Robert? Are you talking about Robert Gruler? Gawker's Death Rattle says, Robert Gruler's position will always be that of a full-on defense attorney and maximizing protection for the defendants. He's consistent in that position. I, thank God, don't need to be consistent in that position with pedophiles ever. SC Medic 71 says, FYI, post a link on your locals about a treatment of your nasal taste issue. Want to make sure you've seen it. I believe I did see it, SC Medic. Thank you. The nasal steroid has been working. I get through, like today, I ate part of a piece of fried chicken before it started to taste bad. It tasted good at first. It smelled good. It tasted good. Got about halfway through the piece of chicken. Then it started to taste bad. That's very promising. Used to be, I would smell the chicken and think it smelled like garbage immediately. Gawker's Death Rattle says, love is that condition in which happiness of another person is essential to your own, quoting Robert Heinlein. Lakeda Ross says, love you, Nick. No homosexual, though. Yes, and Robert Gruler changed his name to Robert Govea. I don't know how to pronounce it. I've only read it, so sorry. On the fly. I didn't mean to. There's no intentional anything there. I just know him as Robert Gruler. I don't know how to say his other name. And he's talked about why he's changed it, and I respect that decision. I think it's great. I don't know it. So I can't, like, on the fly come up with it. And I didn't remember what it was. Lakeda Ross says, love you, Nick. No homosexual, though. Thank you. Jesse Bear says, watch the Daily Wire's commercial for Jeremy's Razors. Laugh for 10 minutes. Jacob Henry says, my neighbor is suing me for killing his cat. I totally did, but he doesn't have a case. Ran the bastard over. Love your show. Should I get a lawyer? You might want to, in all honesty. Killing a pet, if they can determine that you You know, if your representation in the case goes poorly, you could be liable for, I mean, a significant amount of money. Blainstorm says, enjoying a bottle of Mark Rose Noble Tennessee whiskey for the dirty job. Oh, micro. For the dirty job, watching you identify all these maps that need to go on the wall. LV Esquire says, if you want an interesting take on Ukraine, check out Gonzalo Lira, Coach Red Pill on YouTube. You certainly can. Helix Snow says, daily
He drank a fair bit and then realized that his bladder can't handle the liquor inside, leaving us with his chair while he runs up the stairs, hoping the stream doesn't suddenly die. While we are waiting, we'll be laughing at you. The drinking along is what most of us do. The chat is united, getting excited. What you have for us when your feeling is through. When you have a small bladder and no sphincter control, freedom of liquor doesn't mean freedom from soaking your drawers. Now you're washing your hands and you realize that you've forgotten to scrub both the front and the back. Then you'll grab a quick bite, kiss your lady goodnight, and remember to thank her for all of the snacks. Whoa, water will cure your hangover. Oh, drink some when the stream is over. When you have small bladder and no sphincter control, freedom of liquor doesn't mean freedom from soaking your drawers.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
Your Honor, I'm pretty sure we have a mistrial here, sir.
I'm gonna mistrial my foot up your ass. You don't shut up.
Beta.
Do you flag videos like that often?
I'll flag stuff if it's like hate speech, like legitimate people saying, let's
Oh
kill
my
blacks.
fucking God.
Thank you, please. I doubt it.
Everything that guy just says is bullshit. Thank you.
There is no meme. This is just a threat.
I like you, and I want you. Now we can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. The choice is yours.
Nigga, you gay.
I am not suicidal. That's what I would like to say. Okay. I am not suicidal. Okay? I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. And I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself. And you must all know that. I am not suicidal. Okay.
Okay. Knock it off, Ryan. Thanks for covering for that. So I have to figure out a way to fucking do this. What we got here? This way. Oh, this is nice. This is great. It's great. Good framing.
Beta.
Hey, fuck you, Ryan. Piece of garbage. Hold on. What the? God damn it. Okay. I've got to go. Seriously. 1 second. Okay. Now, let me just get those super chats pulled back up and we'll finish out the show on my giant tablet. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm guessing the resolution is going to be bad because I don't have great service out here. Just remember this, by the way, every time you awful assholes are like, oh, why don't you just get a failover cell phone connection? This is a cell phone connection where I live. Oh, well, you can just get a failover. Fucking hell. Can I please just get to the super chats? Where is it? Nope. Come on. Can I get to the actual? I don't know if this is going to even work. Okay. Can I get to the desktop site? Thank you. I don't want the YouTube app. I want the desktop site. Do you know how fucking hard they make it to do this shit? On a tablet? Oh, you got to use the Studio app, but the Studio app doesn't give me what I want. Oh, here we go. We've got the website coming up here. Very important. We're on the desktop site version. Load up. Load. Only for an old man. No, the YouTube Studio, since they have an app, they don't want you accessing the desktop version of the YouTube Studio from a tablet or phone. They don't want that. You should get a laptop if this happens again. I have a laptop. It's not charged because this isn't supposed to happen. Is not prepared for this. Open the fucking reminder. I'm trying to open the web page on my tablet using the tethered connection that is also running the stream. So bear with me. There we go. Studio. Come on. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Load. Load. Supers. We're almost there. We're almost there. I'm so excited. We were actually really close to the end too when this happened. This does put the stream of Elden Ring into potential jeopardy because I don't know if I'll have it. Okay. All right, almost. Okay, I was lying.
All right. Okay. Daily dose. I found it. We're all ready. We're here. Daily dose says, quick, let's give him tech advice. He'll love it. Jacob Henry says, sorry, that was a troll. I totally didn't run over a cat, and it definitely wasn't named Ella. Should I get a lawyer? Yes, you should. Greg McKay says, nice schnoz, bro. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Greg. Very nice. Jack Murphy says, I'll tell you, though, Ron did better than Red Hen. Jed Flint, hey, Nick, look at coping scale. UK courts use it. Thought. I have no idea what that is, so I'm not going to look it up right now. Limited internet and all. Also late. AD says teachers can talk about matters of public concern, Nick. Oh, okay. Is two men having sex with each other a matter of public concern? I don't think so. Like in a general sense, no. And also they can't as a point of instruction in Florida. They can't do that. And also, no, they can't, actually. They can't. If it would go against the curriculum or education standards, they can't do it. Because they don't have rights. They don't have academic freedom. Because they're public school teachers. And they shouldn't. Not a Christian says, I'm pretty sure I bombed my final round interview with Google today. Please take a moment to bash Google on my behalf. Google is trash. Google is the largest collector of child porn on the planet. And they all deserve the wall. Also, they have a person who identifies as their gender as an ornate building. So they can be sledgehammered along with everybody else. Andrew Miller says, do defense statements in Richard voice? No. Moverback says, for all you who think the church is for groomers, heidelblog.com get based on the covenant of grace. Junseth says, I bet she has a history of leniency for defendants that she believes are likely to suffer inequity. What's Hawkins' race? He's black. Doesn't matter to me, but I bet $1 billion it does to her. Man of low moral fiber says, preach it, tell them what's up. New Supreme Court judge probably wants to legalize pedo stuff. Disgusting. Anyone have a picture of this Colin Hawkins? It's not Colin Hawkins, it's Wesley Hawkins. He is black. He is on the sex offender registry for the District of Columbia. You can find him. His birth date was in 1994. Josiah Kepley says, anyone who feels detached from what's going on, listen to Daddy by Korn. The vocalist was a victim. Judges like this churn predators right back out. Just another Gmail account says, unfortunately, Nick, I don't drink and couldn't at this moment, even if I wanted to. Drunk at work is not exactly acceptable. Rip my soul. AD says, possession is like possession of weed. Lorgar Apologist says, you may be horrified, but Slanesh is doing great. Hey, y'all says, not sorry. Not sorry, Judge Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Maps all deserve the wall. You apologize to guilty maps. Map defender Judge Jackson, get on the wall. I'm sure that's an Outcast riff that I can't complete. Too white. Nayland says, did this person reoffend after getting a slap on the wrist? This is horrible, but I thank you for doing it. Yes. Kyle Bogue, when Ted Cruz was grilling her yesterday on this, how did he not say, you may have been analyzing whether it's constitutional or not in law school, but you put it into practice on the bench? Shivan Lord says, read that one. Darian Edwards, as a young single father, I've had thoughts of ending my own life, but every time I do, I take my little girl for ice cream or to the park, and it reminds me how much I want to see her grow. Stay strong. Absolutely, brother. Good move. Bad Dragonite says, what has she seen on the bench to see this as mild? She's lying. She's lying. She doesn't see it as mild. She didn't, well, not relative to sex crimes. She doesn't see any of them as mild, or as anything but mild. It's just harmless possession of pictures of kids. That's how she sees it. Because she's awful. Ink Fairy Games says the reason they stopped death penalties for this crime is because they were killing the children to have no witnesses in the past, nothing to lose. Radioactive, read that one. Lick Ricotta says maybe they're born with it. Maybe I don't give a frack. Bring back biblical punishments and give them all the cross Make it public. Anyone who complains, keep them away from your kids. Visage says the Irish kneecapped maps for these things to mark them for life. If we can't use the wall, we should at least do that. Ryojimata says, I'm feeling very Black Templarish with these emails right now. DB Cooper says, but we need to rehabilitate them. They can beg for redemption all they want, but they'll never get mercy from me. Carson Depp says, check out Norman Lewis Muscat case in Michigan. Beat wife and kid, rape mother-in-law, order not clear. Greeted police with rifle. Unfortunately, survived. Justin Ryder, here's a thought. The pedos in government just want to confiscate the material for their own collection, hence the light sentences. Ludwig von Sol says, indict all of DC under RICO using their pensions taxes as grounds for pooled funds in this pedo conspiracy. Unfortunately, that won't work. That won't work. AD says, possession of CP is not the same as distribution. This is the same argument you white supremacists have tried with drugs in the Black community, and this hate of a Black judge is telling about you. AD, it was distribution. It was distribution. He uploaded 5 videos to YouTube unprompted to distribute child pornography. And within minutes of being contacted by an undercover agent, was offering to distribute and collect child pornography from them. This was distribution. It's nothing to do with Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson being Black. Literally the only person who cared about that was Joe Biden when he appointed her because of her Blackness. Because she's Black. That's the only reason she's being appointed to the bench. It's not her accomplishments or her achievements. Joe Biden told us he will appoint a Black woman. Your racist in chief chose this person based not on who she is, but on what she is. And that should offend you more than anything else. Josiah, thank you for the donation. S. Asp says, just got done watching the Robert Guevara take on Brown. Got halfway through and wanted to vomit. There you go. D. Dotson, read that one. AZ Omega says, tied to the chair, surrounded by white sheets, get a grinder and start at the feet, a blowtorch to cauterize, and smelling salts to bring them back when they pass out. Rinse and repeat, inch by inch. Shane Soctopus says, woman here, I'd forego physical torture in favor of psychological torture, so terrible it lasts their lifetime. They wouldn't die and would be worse than anything anyone could do to them physically. Potentially. Potentially. Wolfgang Dale says, I don't have faith in the government, but they should be doing the death penalty. Death is truth. They would finally be forced to deal with truth. And B. Feinstein says, I write thriller and horror. I was writing about 1939 Germany propaganda for a future manuscript. And this crap turns my stomach. P.S. I'm Jewish. Yeah, this is the worst. It's the worst stuff, in my opinion. Ghost of Ace, it says, wow, he posted content like that to YouTube. How's either Susan or Disney not hired him yet? Bad Dragonite, in before YouTube bans people for saying offenders are bad. Man of Low Moral Fiber says, Hawkins should get the same fate as one Leo Frank, and so should the judge that freed him. Ryu Woodware says, Firefox had a YouTube downloader add-on back in 2010. No, it didn't. Don't lie. Wolfgang Deo says, I say cannibals are not allowed in civil society. And torture is necessary until society is civil. If we cannot properly sentence, then torture. Cartographer says, at this point, I'd prefer the Matt Harris on the Supreme Court over this map sympathizing C word. Sam Walther says, first time dad here, son will be 2 this week. Just listening to this makes me search for a pitchfork I don't own. Buying a pitchfork tomorrow. Wall. Alex Scott Thompson says, dark web Kickstarter for hits on pedos. Thoughts? Can't condone that activity at all. Thermacia says, Romney already said he supports her nomination. Of course he does. Of course he does. Romney's a pile of shit. Has been the entire time. C. Goody says, I enjoy the heavy topics, as sick as they may be. Catch a convicted predator, erosion of the Fourth Amendment, abortion stream, etc. I'm fucked up. We know, Goody. We know. Wolfgang says, I use 4K video downloader to download YouTube videos. Holy hell, you're a boomer. As for 2012, why bother with YouTube at that point? Sheesh, not cool. But he did. He did. Samantha Schoner says, as a teacher and a Christian, I would be more worried about my future kids being alone with a teacher than a priest. See Goody says, I'm not doing Gollum and you don't even do auto-tune instead. What a ripoff, you bigot. Get grifted. Sweet Review says, love your show, Nick. Thanks for the stream. Wolfgang, Sandy Karavichus demands payment for the sex change you demanded of him. Seal Hunter says, Geiga Boomer. See Goody says, Alexa, play all of my clips in order. Kyan Rennell says, did your computer catch AIDS? No, my internet just went out. More Unbreaded Havoc says, we love Ryan. He's our hero. And Wolfgang Deo says, I like 77p. Keep failover, Nick. Beta. And there you go. That's the end of the show. I hope there were no other chats on Odyssey or Rumble. I tried to get them early. If any came in, I apologize. I can't pull them up at all from where I am. Neither Odyssey nor Rumble have an easy way to access historical chats. So, that being said, I may be on Elden Ring in a little bit. I may not. It depends on if the internet comes back. So, hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. I'll catch you soon. Let's see. I think I can play the outro still. I can. I'll catch you guys soon. Have a good night. Peace. Peace.
Oh, he drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some lost-plaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an Ardbeg, a Balmore, a Lubroy, the spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, the guests are all plenty folks, from Doug T to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have.